Trans right.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rogue Room. My name is Abby. You are watching what should be MASC off, but the title on this particular scene has not been changed yet. However, I'll just dive straight into it, because he's sitting there muted and I'm sure that's incredibly awkward and uncomfortable. I've brought our very good friend on, Kalgar, tonight, to hang out with us. Let me see if your voice is actually working. Alright, testing.
I don't know.
There we go.
Is my voice actually working?
It definitely sounds like it is. Okay.
Hello there.
We're all in. There we go. We've got the title now. We've got the logo up here now. See?
There's a logo and
everything. Professional.
everything. It's good stuff.
We've got background music. I don't know if we should leave the background music or not. I'm going to leave it off. Or turn it all the way down to the point where nobody can actually hear it. I can hear it.
I don't know. I can't hear it. So.
Anyway, how have you been? What's been happening? Let's start with pleasantries. That's always a nice way to start. Pleasantries.
I've been busy as all hell.
Well, that's relevant.
Yes, always busy. Even like the break, I started learning video editing and then didn't quite get as far as I wanted to. So that's just life at this point. How have you been though?
I've been
You
good.
took a week off.
I took a week and a bit, almost a week and a half, I would say. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I was going to say about the video editing thing. That's a long and tedious process, especially if you're not formally trained in it, which I am not.
Oh jeez, yeah, and I hate it.
Exactly.
I don't know if I'm going to. I don't know if I'm going to continue with like. I didn't even finish the big video I was working on. I got close, but I didn't. I did find I was enjoying turning like Twitch clips into little shit posts. So
that's always fun, yeah. Like creating stuff from the content you've made is
Yeah.
like actually, live content is great in the sense that you get the real time reactions to everything. And one of the big issues with live content is, of course, dead air and this kind of stuff. But with you edit it down and you can make it really punchy.
Yeah.
Make yourself look really professional and on the ball.
Oh, I just turn it into shit posts. That's all I do. I
That's
just
the best way
added
to
like
go about
JoJo memes over the last one of mine, so
Perfect.
dumb shit.
Am I going to look at the correct screen? No, I'm not, because I am still inverted. I'm looking at my OBS right now. You're over here on this screen on Discord.
I'm just looking vaguely in the direction of the camera. So
Yeah. I mean, if you've got the stream up, you'll be able to see me, but there'll be like a 5-10 second delay
Yeah,
on everything
it's
I
like
say.
It's like I've got to go that way if I'm going to look at you. I think it's away from the camera.
I will.
It's like,
What I might do is I might set up my other camera. I've got 2 cameras, of course. I got this fun little friend who he's a GorillaPod by Joby. A nice little tripod.
Oh, okay.
I could sit that over there on top of my PC and have a secondary camera, I think. Way over there. Good stuff.
It's fine.
I need like
Fine.
7 more cameras. Just like so I can hit various buttons on the stream deck, have a camera in the ring light, camera on the wardrobe, camera on the
Cameras
cat.
everywhere. Camera party. Oh, cat camera would be great.
Get a GoPro, strap it to the cat, hook it up with Bluetooth. Be dandy.
Yeah, that's what's
Be
going to go
absolutely
next.
fine.
Yeah, GoPro the cat.
I've been tempted. It's like, I mean, how heavy's a GoPro? Would you reckon he'd be able to have it dangling off his neck?
Let's see. Well, I just got a GoPro for Shay and then returned it because there's a better one that we should have gotten. And it was heavier than I thought it would be. So
yeah, I reckon they would be pretty
yeah.
funky.
You can probably get a small one though.
Yeah.
So
I've seen people attach like either a GoPro or a GoPro style device, a tiny camera, to like their dog collar and just let it record for the whole day. And they've
oh yeah,
like this
and
is
then
what
just
my dog
see
did
the
today.
dog spin. That'd be fun, and then just do some time lapse smudge content or something.
Absolutely.
That'd be a fun one.
Oh, so
Well, yes.
we have some pretty hefty topics we were going to look at. We were going to look at some ideas, some thoughts, some theories. Oh yeah, I have to thank you for the sub, but I'm not going to put us in the sub lounge because that would ruin the whole visual style we got going right now.
Don't even worry. I just smashed the button because Twitch reminded me that I did a thing.
Well, thank you very kindly.
Oh, good, all good. Yeah, I guess, shall we launch into Crunch? Or
Well, yeah, Captain Crunch. Let's go straight into
and
Captain
then
Crunch.
Captain Crunch. We can always lighthearted it with the best movie ever later if we wanted to.
Yeah, exactly. There's always
the-
lighthearted stuff to take our minds
yes.
off it. But I mean, we know my stance on Crunch. Bad. Crunch bad unless it's cornflakes. I can tolerate it in cornflakes. That's about it.
Or Captain Crunch. Yeah, I mean, my stance is pretty much the same. The problem is that, like, keep trying to see people justifying it in game dev. And I'm not a game dev. I have done some game development, but I'm an app developer for my day job, making iPhone apps generally. And I've been through a couple of weeks of Crunch. I did a week back at uni just to like get a project finished, and then I did one like paid week of Crunch where, or was it 2 weeks? I can't even remember how long it was. That's the problem. You lose all sense of time.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I haven't done the thing is, on a personal level, I have to concede defeat on this point, I guess, is that I've never actually done a proper week of Crunch, so to speak. But the job I used to work, my max hours were typically 28 hours a week, and I was working that for a good long while there. My last, legitimate job, I should say, I'm, working for a capitalistic corporation that paid you on a regular basis. And
Yeah.
what I was doing, 28 hours a week, and occasionally they would have me work up to 38, and that was like the highest you could work. But when I was working those weeks where I would have that 38-hour week or whatever it was typically, I would do something like a 12-hour day. I'd get up at like...
Oh, jeez.
There was an instance, right, where they had to have us completely deep clean the floor of the supermarket we worked at. And we had to get there at midnight, or like 11 o'clock or whatever, before the, way, way, way before the store opened. So there at midnight, and, you lose track of time. You're just there for so long. You're there at the dead of night. It's pitch black, and by the time you leave, it's the middle of the day, and you just feel completely delirious having worked 12 hours straight, for example. Like, that was typically how it would go if I did those nights. I'd be there till 12 a.m. to 12 p.m. And it was like, God.
Oh.
And that's just the one day sort of thing. And to think about the idea of people doing full weeks, full months on end of just ludicrous hours, it would have such a tremendous effect on your mental health.
The 40-hour work week is like my standard, supposedly 8.5-hour days, 5 days a week, and then, take out lunch breaks and all that kind of stuff. So you get it equals out to roughly 40 hours. But then when I was doing that crunch week, I was doing probably 12 to 14 hours. Let me think. I got into the office at 9, and then there were a few days where I left at midnight, got a cab home, charged the cab to work, and then took the train back in at 9 again. And that was the standard for a few days, and then I dialed that back to like 10 p.m. or something, just because it was getting too much. But you lose sleep, you lose travel time if you are going home between your workplace and thing, rather than some of those insane crunches they don't even go home.
The Rogue Room appreciates your recommendation.
Hang on a sec, I think my alert box is being really loud and drowning you out. I'm gonna turn it off for now.
Woohoo! Being drowned out, good stuff.
I'll acknowledge hosts and stuff. I appreciate hosts and all that, everyone. But yeah. I'll turn off the alert box for now, but you guys will show up in chat. Because you're talking and it's like, the Rogue Room appreciates your support. It's like, shut the fuck up.
The Rogue Room appreciates your crunch. All good. I tend to do that when we were doing like the occasional podcast on our thing as well, that just turn all the alerts off or hide them and stuff like that.
I didn't even think about it. Professionalism.
It's something you get used to. It's something I had to do for like the D&D stuff anyway, so those scenes for those shows don't even have the alerts in. Anyway, where was I? Right, long day. Like, so the problem is, it's not a physical job, right? I sit at a desk crouched over a keyboard, mashing buttons all day to make the pretty lights on the monitor be in a different configuration, hopefully the correct configuration. That's literally the reductive version of what I do.
That's a thing. There's a thing there, though. I'll let you continue, but there's a point I want to put a pin in. The whole sitting at the desk thing.
Oh, well, yeah, it's not good for your back or anything like that. But, yeah. But the thing is, so it's not necessarily a physically exhausting job to the degree that something, being on a construction site or something might be, right? But it is a mentally draining job because it is all logic and thinking and figuring out puzzles, effectively. Mm-hmm. And as a result, you're tired by the end of the day. You're making mistakes. Magnify that by, however long your crunch is. And as I said, like, I've forgotten how long my crunch in the office was, because I'm just like, surely it was longer than a week, because I got a full week off time in lieu afterwards. So it had to have been longer than a week to earn that much time.
Yeah. Because
I also remember I didn't get all the time in lieu back. So I must have gone for longer than a week, but I couldn't tell you how long it actually was. It was also a long time ago. My work has long since gotten better with that stuff, and they'll occasionally ask for a bit of overtime if you need it, and then they'll give you that time back. But generally, if you're doing more than 2 nights of overtime in a row, they'll realize there's something wrong and extend deadlines.
Well, that's the thing about, when I was working for Coles, is it was always, at the very least, the most positive thing is, generally speaking, for part-timers, and this was, I dare say this is more a cost-saving measure than anything else, if they did have you work a particularly long day, a ridiculously long day, they would take that off your other shifts. So if you would do a 12-hour, like those times where I would do a full-time week, for example, were very few and far between. But other times there would be, it's like, we need you to work 12 hours today, but we're going to take, however many hours off the rest of your other shifts. So you'll be working 4 and 3 hours for the other days in the week or what have you. But the point I wanted to mention is, with regards to crunch, especially with regards to everybody's favorite, the video game, that came out towards the tail end of last year. Shocking news, by the way. The game has lost like 80% of its players on Steam since it released. Because it's single player. That's generally how that works.
I heard them. Just like, people have finished the game and are done now. Like,
exactly. Before the game's actually finished.
it's not like the Anthem or the Avengers one where it's like, there's supposed to be a lot and people aren't playing this multiplayer thing.
And people are still, like, it's still doing hot numbers on Twitch compared to, you know, Anthem and Avengers. But anyway, the thing that really irritated me, you mentioned the physical versus psychological energy expenditure that you would go through in that kind of work environment. And the constant argument that I've seen from blatant defenders of CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk and all of this is that, like, oh, what about these people, like you said, people going off to work sites, people going off to real physical labor jobs and working crunch hours in those versus working long crunch hours at a desk. And I think that whole notion of, oh, physical labor is worse than mental labor is such an absurd notion. And it completely strips away the validity of somebody who is sitting at a desk, which, if you are sitting at a desk for 12 hours a day, 16 hours a day, whatever it is, that is going to have a significant impact on your physical stature and a lot of other things. Your physical, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Like, not posture? Your posture, well, yes, posture, but like, I suppose in general, it's just going to have a bad effect on your spine, your like hips and legs and all that sort of stuff.
I went under quite a bit of physio to fix my back because I've been doing this hunching thing for years.
Exactly.
So, I mean, even when I was still working at McDonald's and doing the more physical job, I would still go home and play games. I would study on the computer because I was doing computer science degrees and stuff that needed me to be on the computer at my desk. But yeah, it's just.
I think it's. I mean,
I was being a little reductive with the job thing, but I was also referencing an XKCD comic. So, because they're like, "Oh, my job is to make these colored lights. Today, these colored lights are all wrong. Fix it." I don't know. I'm trying.
No, yeah, I see that argument all the time, though. It's like, oh, those poor game devs that get to be so privileged and sit in an office, and like, I think people don't realize just how taxing having an office job would be, and especially mentally. It's like, even if a physical labor job and a mental labor job, if they were working the same hours, even if the person with the physical labor job came out with a worse physical body at the end of it, for example, what's their mental health like at the end of that? Is what I would like to ask. Dependent on, like, there's so many different factors involved in putting someone through in obscene work conditions, through lengthy work conditions, where it's like, you can't really, it's that apples to oranges thing, you know? On the one side of things, you've got physical labor, which can lead to significant injury more immediately, I suppose, but also staring at a screen in an office with like these bright lights bearing down on you for so long could have a massive effect on your eyesight, for one thing. You develop migraines, headaches,
sleep patterns.
Yeah, exactly. So I think
and then of course just the likelihood of making a mistake, right? So I mean, again, like that job is largely mental, so you tire in a way that affects your work almost quicker, I guess, in some ways, because it's like, okay, I'd had a bad night's sleep last night, I can't think very well straight. If I go to McDonald's, I can just be on autopilot and get away with that a bit, right? Maybe not on a construction site, but like, you know, something like, you know, stocking shelves or something, you can kind of put your brain on autopilot a bit, I guess. I did a lot at McDonald's anyway, because I did 8 years of that before I got into the computery stuff. But if you try to autopilot when you're trying to write software, you're just going to break everything, and you've got to fix it after, and then that may lead to crunch if your boss isn't going to push the deadline for you or descope or something.
That's exactly it. So, it's like, it's demonstrably proven. We have scientific studies to back this idea that putting someone through more work than they can handle in a single day leads to the eventual workload being worse. And that's over the course of one day. You know, if you put someone through 8 hours of work without a break, if you put someone through 8 hours of work without a break at all, that's going to result in a bad work output. If you give them 4 hours and then a lunch break and then another 4 hours, they'll be relaxed and they will be in a good state to continue the work, and the results will be better, right?
Yeah,
But of course,
I
if
do
you're
want to
giving them
point
like,
out.
12-hour days or whatever with minimal breaks and get this done, they'll be tired constantly and, yeah, like you said, making mistakes. There's so much science to back this up that is just blatantly thrown aside, especially when it comes to consumer products.
Yeah, I do want to side note that like my current job has actually, learned from the past and has had new management and it's actually, gotten better at this stuff. And it said like, 2 days with a few hours of overtime at most before they start like, trying to not make you do overtime. The boss does a lot of weird hours, but that's because she's corresponding with time zones on the other side of the planet.
Oh god, I would not envy
Good.
her.
Yeah, and she's and that's the thing. They let everyone have a degree of autonomy as well. Like I
That's
tend
good.
to do like 5 hours or so, then have my lunch break, and then have a short second half of the day, just because I'll have a big-ish breakfast and not get hungry till later, and I can do that.
That's
And
a
that's
good,
kind of just how
yeah.
what works fine for me.
That's a good way to do
The
things.
only way around that, the only sort of blockers to that autonomy we have is the if you've got a meeting, you've got to be at the meeting kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But
that's
beyond
understandable.
that, we have a lot of freedom to kind of be flexible. So
Well, yeah, that's very reminiscent of how I used to do back when they allowed us to. I've since left the job that I used to have, but back when they allowed us to choose our own lunch breaks, I would typically do that whole. I'll work the first 6 hours of the shift, then have a lunch break, then the final 2 hours is like it's a tiny little block of time.
yeah,
I
it
can
just
get through
feels like
that, and then I'm
nothing.
out of here. Like, yeah,
Yeah, it was a weird one for me because all the time I'd be like, oh, I should be having lunch now. Everyone else is having lunch or whatever, and then I'd be like, oh, but I want to solve this problem, because it's programming and it's bug debugging and it's it's a puzzle. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to solve this and I want to solve this, and then I just get into a flow, and then I'm like, oh, it's 1:30. Let's go have lunch. To the point where it became a meme in the office that I'm always the one having lunch late. Like if someone else has lunch super late because they've been caught in meetings or something, they're like, yeah, I'm going to go pull an Andrew. Cool. I'm like, well done. I have taught you well without
You've become an icon.
anything. Yeah, apparently.
I unfortunately can't speak to the experience of that. I can only speak to, I guess, effectively physical labor. I can only speak to the physical labor side of things.
Yeah.
Which does, yeah.
Oh, I know that not every office is as kind as mine. And said even
Yeah.
then, back in the day, my office wasn't that kind. They've improved. So
Exactly, and that's what's kind of bizarre. Is like we know there are good workplaces that can treat their employees right and can get projects done on time, and we know all of this sort of stuff can be standardized. We've seen it in action. We've seen companies run at a capacity that doesn't burn its workers out, and the output is better as a result of it. And yet, there seems to be this consistent theme towards, even though everything's running smoothly, it's that Jim Sterling thing with the companies wanting not just some of the money, they want all of the money. And that becomes the issue with productivity as well. A lot of companies don't want just enough productivity. They want all of the productivity. You need to be a constantly churning cog. And the thing is, unlike with machinery, which they can just replace in the office, people, unfortunately, in this situation, people can be replaceable. Less so when you are qualified, like you are, where you've actually got.
Yeah.
But yeah, the situation is at least on the low end scale of things. It's people become disposable, which is unfortunate.
I was going to say, don't become indispensable either, though, because that's got its own kind of problem.
That's another issue.
I've been in that position for a little while. We've resolved that by getting some other people with my skill set in our company. But the problem is, if you're indispensable, then anytime something is needed on that particular context, it's on you and only on you. And so I get pulled in 6 different directions. And
we don't want that.
Better,
the unfortunate thing is, I would love to actually have that level of skill in something. I would love to be, I would love to be valued for that level of skill in whatever, whatever that could be. I don't know what my exact passion would necessarily be that would make me feel like having. I'm losing my words here. My vocabulary does exist. Don't worry.
It's somewhere.
It's around. I think I left it at Hungry Jack's before. And it was like the idea of being
interest and passion to get that good at something because you've done it for so long, the experience. Because I did 2 degrees, and then I got this job, and I'm still at the same company 10 years later. And so it's 10 years of paid working experience plus the 2 degrees of stuff. Probably didn't need the 2 degrees, but that's side stuff. That's
well, that would be the ideal situation, is to be able to get into a company and then work your way up through that company to the point where you're at where you are, sort of thing, in a stable position. You've got a reasonable income and all that kind of thing without, for 10 years or what have you, or however many years it is. That's the ideal, right? As you get in on the ground floor, you get in at the entry level and you work your way up. But unfortunately, like, there's a lot of positions where that's simply not a possibility.
Yes,
a lot of dead-end jobs.
Yeah, like, I fully admit that I'm quite privileged in that regard. Like, I got super lucky. So, yeah.
But yeah, it's still... And by the way, I need to go get water in a moment, because somebody... I've forgotten who it was now, but I did see a hydrate in chat. Sorry if we're missing chat. We're sort of like in a conversation. That's a weird thing, actually.
I am reading it all, but
yeah, I'm reading it. I'm kind of wondering, it's like, if something interesting does come up that we can factor into the conversation, we'll bring it up.
I will say, I'm sorry, Sammy, that I'm not helping your job hunting.
I mean, I've got that. I do have, like, a gig, so to speak, but it's really, I can leave it at any time, and there's no direct obligation to the company at all. It's just literally, I can have money and not much, Yeah. In my ideal situation, personally, and I'm sure a lot of other people would feel this way as well, although this comes back to that meme of, like, what's your dream job? I don't dream of labor, Well, yeah. But at the same time, I think everybody does want to feel valued by their position in society, and there's, unfortunately, this will dial back around to the crunch thing. Unfortunately, there's a lot of companies that will take complete advantage of that passion, that desire to be seen as worthwhile. Which I never felt that way about my previous job. I never felt like my position was actually worthwhile. I was never valued. I knew how disposable I was. So, in that particular regard, I think, a lot of people would definitely want to be in a position that can give them full-time hours, 40 hours a week, or what have you, and feel valued and feel like they have been productive and actually done something, while also being able to go away from that and have their own life outside of it, I suppose, and not feel like every waking moment has to be their work.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I tend to be doing a lot of stuff outside of work as well, but that's just, content creation and axe throwing, and I just fill up my schedule because I'm a maniac.
No, I know that feeling, yeah. It's like...
But...
Oh, okay, I'm blurry now.
Really?
Thank you, Logitech. Good job.
GG.
I'm considering putting this up on, like, I don't know, can I put this on Spotify or wherever? I was considering actually taking this particular show and putting it on one of those podcast listening apps. And for anyone listening, my Logitech camera's shit. There we go.
I can help you with that stuff later offline if you like.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I've only been doing that for a little bit.
A little bit. But I know the feeling of, like, that desire to have a full schedule to the point where... I don't know if you get this. How much would you say you game off stream, so to speak?
Interesting, because I mean,
maybe like percentage it, ballpark percentage.
I'd probably say my streaming gameplay makes up about 70% of the time I spend it on it nowadays. Just because I spend, like, a lot of the weekend time. If I don't have a social thing that I've set up on, then I'm probably trying to catch up on sleep and rest rather than play games. So.
Yeah, I think I'm in that same kind of boat where it's like, amusingly, as someone who started as a gaming streamer, I had this thing for a while, and I think part of the reason I got into streaming in the first place was to get back into gaming, because I had drifted so far away from it over several years that it had become just this thing that maybe I would dip my toes into once in a blue moon. Yeah. And then, over time... all of my gaming became content. So every time I was streaming was virtually the only time I was gaming. And then I've moved on to this point of, like, now I'm doing primarily discussion-focused streams, and my gaming is almost non-existent. Because everything else is filling up the schedule. I've got some kind of work to do. I've got groceries to shop for. I've got the gym to go to. This idea of... Exactly, life to do. And it becomes... Even though I could be one of those people who is that full-time work-a-day kind of individual who, packs their schedule with work and never has time for anything else. And yet, somehow I still am. I just don't get paid as much for it.
Whoops. Yeah, I mean, gaming-wise, I mean, that's the thing I've been very careful with the streaming as well, though, is that, like, okay, I love gaming, and streaming started as a, I'm already playing games, I'm already doing a podcast, I'm already kind of getting used to talking shit all the time. So why not stick a camera in front of me and give it a go, right?
Exactly, like, that's what I was thinking,
But I've also, like, after a bit of that, I got very cognizant of, well, annoying my partner all the time. Back before we moved to this apartment, like our last apartment was a 1-bedroom, so our desks were literally side by side. So if I was streaming, I was annoying. Then she would be in the background of all my streams. There was a big meme with Shay screaming obscenities while playing League, and it was hilarious. It became a meme for a little while, right? And then now we're here. I'm a bit more free to do that stuff without that being an issue, and so audio quality is better, etc., etc. But also, like, from that kind of stuff, kind of realized that no, I've got to keep some games for myself for offline, otherwise I will go mad.
That's the thing that I have struggled with as trying to be a gaming creator, is that I devoted 100% of my gaming time to streaming. So every single game I would play would be a stream. And that became the issue of, and I don't know if you've necessarily experienced this because you've always struck me as a variety caster, but as you're well aware, for a long period there, I was exclusively Minecraft or exclusively Dark Souls or exclusively Skyrim, because that was always sold to me as a streamer, the notion that in order to grow, you need to be continually streaming the same game in the same category all the time. And as a result, if you're streaming just that one game and you don't have any time outside of streaming for gaming, you're going to miss out on everything else. So, but now I'm only very rarely playing games to begin with.
I feel like the podcast kind of helped me try to balance that too, because I mean, you've been on the show that one time. So the Inconsolables podcast, we talk gaming bullshit about industry news every week. Our next episode's out tomorrow. There's a mini plug for you. But we talk about, gaming industry stuff and then what we've played. But if what we've played is always the same game every week, then that gets very boring very quickly. Sammy, I was getting to that later.
I'll just link, I think that works. That'll take you to at least the episode I'm on, and from there I guess you can subscribe to the podcast.
Yeah, you'll be able to subscribe to the podcast from there.
I'm not quite sure how the UI of Spotify works. As someone who listens to it every day in the gym, still don't quite understand the platform.
It's on Spotify, but I'm not sure how the podcasting side works on that, because I usually do my podcast stuff through the really bad Apple app.
Well, Magic's got us covered. Thank you, Magic.
Magic's got us covered. That's the main link. But we'll come back to Sammy's comment later when we have a moment to do like a bigger plug for stuff. But like that kind of, it's like, okay, well, partly I should be playing different games for content anyway. So that was one thing that kind of pushed me in that direction a little bit. But the other thing is, I'll get bored playing the same game all the time. Like
you do. Yeah.
I mean, there might be some exceptions. I could probably play Monster Hunter World for a really freaking long time without being bored. But
there's a lot in there. There's a lot of depth in there. But like, take for example Minecraft, where I did who knows how many hardcore runs. I still get the itch at times. But it reaches a point, and I had this with World of Warcraft way back when I played that routinely, of like, I would log on just to do my daily quests every day, and I'd get to the end of it, and I'm just like, now what do I do? I just shook my desk. Like, now what do I do? I log on to do the same shit every day, and then log off.
And impact.
And then it becomes a job. And if you're doing that as a stream, I mean, yeah, potentially you can actually make legitimate income doing the same thing every day as a gaming streamer, but the issue is still you're turning what otherwise was a passion into a chore, and you lose that passion for it.
Yeah, so I'll make sure to keep some stuff for offline only, or a separate save file for offline if it's a very open-ended game like Baldur's Gate 3 or something like that.
Exactly.
Like recently I started playing The Last of Us 2 because I got it for like $20 when Big W did their Boxing Day sales.
Oh, nice.
And I've only played for about four hours or so I'm not that far into it, but I'm not going to put that on stream. I mean, aside from the fact that the combat's not very good and it's not a fun game by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I've heard that. Which kind of annoys me as someone who's like really, I want my games to be fun, even if, like, even knowing the grim tone of Ghost of Tsushima, the gameplay is absolutely riveting.
Yes.
I am absolutely over the moon when I play that game because it's just so much fun. And yet I look at The Last of Us Part 2, and I enjoyed The Last of Us 1. The first one was really good, in my opinion. But yeah, like, I look at The Last of Us 2 and I'm like, this looks grim and not fun because of that grimness.
Yeah, with the first one, enjoyed isn't the right word for me.
I think it captivates.
I
it's
appreciated
captivating.
it.
Yeah. I think there's artistic merit to it.
I appreciated the experiment, not the experience.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not an enjoyable game because it's, a lot of, it's grim dark punctuated with a few nice words. Engage is a strong word. What? No. Experience.
I think engaging does work to a point with regards to certain video games. And I think the comparison I heard somebody make for The Last of Us Part 2 especially was that The Last of Us Part 2 was effectively video game Oscar bait. They went out of their way to make the most Oscar-worthy video game they possibly could. So it had that grim tone and all of this other dramatic bullshit so that they could suck up to industry reviewers and so forth and get as many awards as possible. That game, by the way, cycling back to Crunch again. That game does not deserve any Best Direction awards, given the crunch culture we know about.
Like crunch equals bad direction, bad management. So why? Like it's a failure of the people in charge to scope correctly or to estimate your feature set.
Exactly. Neil Druckmann does not deserve any awards. Thank you very much.
Oh dear.
But yeah, I think there's it's the same thing with movies though. Sometimes there have been events where I'm just like, I would like to watch a grim movie. But the thing about a grim movie, the thing about a movie where nothing goes right for the protagonist or whatever, is it's over in 2 hours. With a video game, especially as far as I've heard, The Last of Us goes for up to 20 or 30 hours or something like that. So you've got that tone for over the course of a full day. That's a lot of depression.
That 4 hours or so I've played is like the intro and most of Chapter 1. So, I consider everything up to big event that in the game that everyone got angry about. I'm not spoiling it, but you know what I'm talking about.
Big spoilers that nobody would be spoiled on that one. Absolutely not.
At this point, because the discourse was that was one of the reasons I waited so long to play as well. The discourse was a garbage fire around that.
Oh yeah.
But I consider that to be the intro because that's the thing that spurns Ellie to go off and do her thing. So that is literally the intro sequence, but it was 3 hours long.
Good lord. It's longer than a movie.
That game does not respect your time.
And that's the thing that they, I'm pretty sure that's one of the things that they praised. A lot of the critics praised about it. It's it's very slow and methodical and it takes its time to blah, blah, blah gibberish.
You know what else was slow and methodical that I got bored shitless of in an hour and stopped playing that critics loved?
Do go on.
Red Dead 2.
Oh god, that's another one I've been avoiding for that very reason. I'm just I saw an event where he hunted down a turtle, and he went through the process of skinning the turtle and then carrying the carcass back to his horse, and the whole thing was Jesus Christ, this is 10 minutes to skin an animal in a video game. What are you doing? I don't get it.
Meanwhile, you get Ghost of Tsushima where, if you are sprinting on a horse through the forest, they turn off collision for the smaller trees so you don't get stopped and slow down. See, that's how you do a game that respects the player.
Oh, there's some bamboo there. I'm just going to nab that in an instant.
Yeah, that too. That too. You don't even have to get off the horse to collect things because they've realized that that's annoying as shit. And so it's no, here you go, a game that actually respects your time and what you want to do. Get off the horse, get on the horse, get off the horse, get on the horse. Oh look, your horse's testicles shrunk because it's cold. Get off the horse, get on the horse, get off the horse, kill a turtle, skin it for 3 hours, drag the shell back. Oh, you can't put it on the horse because there's no space. Wait. No, you got off the horse to hunt the turtle. Wait, you forgot to take your weapons off the horse. You can't actually shoot the turtle.
And this is the thing. These are the games that are a perfect example of what crunch culture is supposed to give us, is these extremely drawn out, realistic experiences. And it's I feel like we're at the point where we don't want realism. We had that period of video games where it was like extremely arcadey, and then we sort of transitioned into this period around about, I want to say, the PS3 era, where gaming really started experimenting with realism, like really super hard, because the tech started to get there and we could start seeing more variety and fluidity in animations. You know what? GTA 4 is kind of where it started to, is a good like baseline for where that kind of culture of game design started to crop up, I think. And the unfortunate thing is, like, we've seen the realism angle done to, as far as I'm concerned, its logical conclusion. We get it. You can do a realism game.
If you look at the
PS3
era, Real was brown as well. So
yes, exactly. And
exactly. I mean, seeing what Sammy and Kez and Soul Reaper are all saying like what we're saying. Right? We want power fantasies when we play a video game because we live in reality. We don't want to be in reality when we're doing our entertainment. That's the point of going for entertainment.
And also, like, on the subject of Doom, we'll just bring Doom into this because Reaper brought it up. Doom 3 is a fantastic example of detaching from what made the original series fun and going for that realism angle. Oh, look at how grim and like realistic shooty our game is. And it's like, no, give me Doom 2016 back in 2004, thanks. There wasn't another one, was there? There wasn't another Doom in there that I missed along the way. No, yeah, I don't think there was.
Doom 2016 was like canned a couple of times because it was going to be a bit more on the military garbage side.
Oh, I've seen that.
And then there was blowback, and they've gone, let's rethink it, and then they made a good game.
Exactly. I've recently come across some of the images and some of the video footage from that experimental phase before Doom 2016 came out, and I was like, holy shit, this looks atrocious. Like, you have this character who's supposed to be the Doom Slayer getting the shit kicked out of them by this low-level demon with a full animated sequence, and it just looks really bad in terms of that power fantasy. It's like, I'm being beaten up by this wanker. I don't think so. Like, thank you for ruining the whole Doom experience for me. I'm glad they brought back what made the originals fun, and that's what we should have been striving for from the beginning with games in general. We've seen games go from, again, I think they sort of fixed it. Like, if we go back to GTA, I think, as much as I like GTA 4, GTA San Andreas especially was that arcadey ridiculous romp. You could invade Area 51 and steal a jetpack in that game. You could derail a train if you felt like it. And I think they went into GTA 4 with this mindset of, let's make a gritty, real crime world. And then it was still successful. But they realized they would have more success with that over-the-top, at this point, Saints Row level of ridiculousness. That arcadey fun time.
GTA 4 is where I kind of turned against the series because I'm like, I couldn't get through it. I was bored shitless. And then that's when I moved on to Saints Row because Saints Row is insane. Over the top.
On the subject, can we play Saints Row the Third at some point? Do you have that?
I have it on console, but I'm happy to rebuy it on PC.
It's a fun one because it has co-op from the outset, as far as I'm aware. You can just play the campaign with 2 players. But anyway, as you were saying,
that's the whole thing. We can definitely play that at some point. But yeah, no, like the whole ridiculousness. That's why, like, I kind of, I'm okay with realism occasionally or whatever, but like Ghost of Tsushima again, like, to bring that back up, you're a single samurai and you're able to like take down 15 dudes, even in a straight up heads-on fight if you're good enough at the game, because fuck realism.
Exactly, it's fantastic. It's the action hero model. That's what we want. I mean, I generally don't watch action movies. I don't watch, The Rock movies, for example. But when you go into one of those movies, you know what you're expecting. You're expecting to see the big badass protagonist kick the shit out of like 50 goons because it's stupid and unrealistic and fun. And I suppose if you feel like it, you can watch a gritty, realistic movie another time. But they generally leave you feeling depressed.
I guess it's good to have kind of both sides in gaming, but like the gritty, realistic stuff doesn't need to be 30 hours long.
Exactly. Like, I think the argument can be made in favor of games the length of stuff like, I would honestly argue maybe 4 to 6 hours for those gritty, realistic games. And there have been a number of, walking simulator style, heavy themes kind of games where they don't go for very long. 2 hours at the most. if you add some actual gameplay to them, aside from just walking around picking up notes, you could pad that out to 4, maybe 6. But I think that should be where it stops. Because it's like watching, there are TV shows that do that exact same thing. I think The Walking Dead's a good example of that. It's like The Walking Dead, it's like, there's no hope. There's no hope. Nothing's ever going to go good. They'll have a ray of light for like halfway through the season, then everything cascades into misery again. I'm like, how much can you take of this?
Yeah, that's a mess. That's the thing. Like, I mean, a game. That's the thing is, I do find a lot of games do feel like they've outstayed their welcome for me by the end, and I think it's just a case of edit it, cut things.
Exactly. Yes.
I don't mind a long game if the long game is engaging and interesting all the way through. Like, God of War was long, quite like much longer than I expected. I mean, like the newer God of War, not the old ones.
Need to give that one a go.
But yeah, it's excellent. Give it a go, Data Boy. But there's a point where like I thought it was practically done, and there turned out to be like another 4 to 5 hours on it. The thing is, I was enjoying myself so much that I wasn't annoyed, and it didn't feel like it outstayed my welcome to me. Like in that case, for me, it's like, oh, I've got another few hours to go. Hell yeah, let's do it. I'm down for that. Meanwhile, something like The Last of Us, when it does its 600 fake endings or whatever that I'm expecting after having heard people talk about it, I'd be like, well, this should have ended like a month ago,
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
It reminds me of shows like Supernatural, actually, because that's just ended. And by the time I tuned out of it, I think I was up to like season 9 or whatever, and it was that same thing where it's like, big, stupid, over-the-top, dramatic ending to the season, and then there's another season. I'm like, how are you going to top this? Can you stop? And I think
a bitch.
Maybe they just want you to get like the most bang for your buck when it comes to video games, when they, pad them out so much.
There has been a bit of that culture towards like, oh, this game's only 2 hours long, not worth the money, which I think some devs have been, pushing back against and going, okay, well, we're going to give you 60 hours. Like, oh, no, that's
fuck it, it's a roguelike.
60 hours, but 50 hours of that was padding, I mean, if it's a good roguelike, I'm in, like Hades sucked me in. I'm still playing Hades.
I've got to get some more Hades in. I'm still stuck on Meg. I'm terrible at it.
It takes time to get used to it and unlock a weapon that clicks with you as well. So,
But yeah, that's
I'm working on the 32 heat challenge for that because I'm a maniac. So
I'm sure I'll get to that level one day when I give myself the time of day to actually play games.
I'm struggling to get to that level now. I'm trying it. Doesn't mean I'm succeeding. Oh dear.
But yeah, that's another thing that sort of deters me from picking up a lot of the newer games, I think, is the sheer length of some of them. And the unfortunate thing is that brings me to another thing we could obviously discuss, is the Ubisoft model. The Assassin's Creed Valhalla situation. As much as people love to suck that game's dick, go ahead and enjoy the game if you like, but please do not, by any stretch of the imagination, defend the microtransaction model in it that they put in a month after the reviews dropped. And the reason that they love to use, the excuse they love to use, of course, as you would expect, it's a long game, skip the grind. Do I need to say more?
You've gone and put in grind to be skipped by throwing money at you. That's exactly the thing. Like, I've enjoyed what I've played of Valhalla, bugs aside, and mind you, I didn't get any of the funny, haha, someone's clipping through the wall bugs. I got the, oh, this quest literally didn't load and now I can't continue the game bugs.
That's the thing with the bugs thing. Like, that's become a trendy thing now, to release a big open world game full of bugs. And I think a lot of people forget, for example, like Skyrim is the perfect example of a game that's super huge, full of bugs, and that's the appeal. A lot of people forget the quest Blood on the Ice, which can literally just completely stall you midway through it, and there's no way to complete it, and it just never leaves your quest log, and you're stuck looking at you forever. And that's one of the things that really, like, a lot of people overlook when they go, oh, the bugs are funny, except for the ones that literally break your game and you can't get past that point. You have to start over.
And that's the problem. Like, I don't mind seeing a funny bug, someone T-posing on the back of a motorbike with no pants in Cyberpunk's example, right?
Assassin's Creed Unity, where did their face go?
Yeah, like, those are kind of funny, and then they fix them and, all right, whatever, no harm, no foul. It's not game-breaking. But in Valhalla, I had an early quest that was actually a main story quest, just not trigger. I had to close the game, turn off my PS5, turn my PS5 back on, load the game, and hope.
Fingers crossed.
Eventually, it did trigger. I had to close it twice to make it work, but
Good
I got there.
lord.
But it's just one of those things that's just like, oh, I even looked up online. It's like, oh yeah, just close and reopen it, it'll work. I'm like, yeah, but it didn't. Like, do it again then. Fine. Try turning it off and on again.
10 times specifically. If you do it 11 times, it'll reset the bug and you have to start over again.
If you do it 11 times, you'll delete your save. You're gonna start the whole game again. You're already a couple of hours in at this point.
There was another game that released and it had a bug where it uninstalled its entire data. I can't remember what that one was. It was a few months ago. What was it? I've forgotten. It was great. It's like, please tell me it was Avengers. That would be hilarious. I don't think it was, but there was a game that
Cyberpunk at this point.
Yeah, that wouldn't shock me. No, I forget which game it was, but
Cyberpunk had the one where if your save file got too big, it would die.
Did they fix that one? I don't know if they fixed that one.
They patched. But yeah, if you got over 8 megabytes, it would just not load. Apparently, you had to do a lot of shit to make that happen.
Yeah, true.
But still, like that's a very arbitrary limit.
You would think it would be at least. It comes to that idea of don't buy something unless you can afford it twice, right? And I feel like in that circumstance, setting that kind of limitation should be the same thing. It's like have a reasonable expectation for what a typical player's save file is going to be, and then double that for whatever the cap should be in terms of the. Well, I mean, I don't know how you would program a save file system, but I would imagine you could have some measure of control over that.
You wouldn't. Well, I mean, you wouldn't need to. You don't need to put a file limit on it.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't need to.
There's absolutely no need to do that unless you're trying to make it a console limitation or something, because then you've got limited space. But on a PC, you can. And PCs where it was most prevalent. That's where people were doing it. So Magic says it was only possible if you're legally duping weapons, which is something that'd be more easy to do on PC. But like that would probably be the easiest way to fire it off, because your save file grows based off how much stuff you've done, how much you've got. Everything you've done and everything you've got in your inventory and all that kind of stuff has to be saved somehow.
Exactly.
So
the whole concept of save files baffles me sometimes. It's ridiculous because I remember playing a map on Warcraft 3 way back in the day, and a lot of maps had this system where they would give you a code for your specific character build that you had, and you would put that code in and it would give you that exact character build the next time you played that map. So if it was an online map, multiplayer custom map sort of thing, and that just kind of blew my mind. It's like, how did they do that? That doesn't make any sense to me. It's magic.
I can see how they did that, but again, I'm a code monkey for a living.
Exactly.
So like it's one of those things that's just like, you generate a code based off all the stuff you had.
Yeah.
And they make sure that it's unique. So it's like, okay, have you got this skill? That means you've got this bit somewhere, and then you just kind of make it a long string, and then you can kind of turn that into like a hex code or something. I could probably recreate something like that without too much trouble.
I imagine that would be fairly similar to what typical save systems are now. It's just, they're saved in a file that the game automatically loads on its own.
Yeah, nowadays it just like write that data to disk, and you create a format, you write that data to disk in that format, and then you read from that. And it's usually just going to be something like level, like even if you just got your character sheet there, right? You just save that character sheet. You can even do it in English if you wanted to. Like, okay, level 25, strength 15, stamina 17, etc., etc., etc. Save that into a text file, read that from a text file, stick it back into those bits of memory when you need it. Done. Typically, they'll encrypt it so that you can't just go in the text file and edit it, but that's kind of the concept.
And then someone hacks it, and then we can do that, and we can edit it all to our heart's content.
And well, that's why you find a lot of one of the reasons is that, but also compression. So if you write it in English, it's a lot bigger than if you write it in like binary or something.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's how you save file size as well. So it's compressed and encrypted and all that kind of stuff. And if it's an online one, then they need to encrypt it in other more secure ways so that you don't ruin everyone else's game. And there's a lot extra that goes into it, but the general concept is effectively just you write it down in a file.
Makes me wonder how much more complicated that would be for a single player game where the save file is local versus an MMORPG, for example. Not that that's really the trendy theme at the moment. It's more the live service thing that we're going towards nowadays. But same basic concept. You have a ton of players playing, and all of that data is saved on the server. That stuff kind of fascinates me in its own way, but no, I'm not going to take the time to actually learn it.
Yeah, fair. That's probably why one of the reasons you pay for server things in a lot of those MMOs, though, because they need to have that storage to save your file. Because it will be saved online rather than on your local thing. You might have a local copy, but it'll sync with whatever's on the server. Because if you play WoW on my computer and then you log into your account on your computer, you've still got your same characters. Because it's all in the cloud.
Can you imagine if it wasn't? Can you imagine if it was actually all stored locally? You're playing an MMO and you log into your account and you got nothing there on another computer.
That'd be fucked. You have to get a USB key and stick your save file on it and take it home, or just keep it in your home or something, you know?
I mean, that would lead to a lot more character hacking and stuff like that. A lot more.
Yeah, so much. Because I had to format my computer and now my character's gone. Now I've got to recreate it somehow.
Download a ROM trainer.
I mean, I had to do that in Daikatana. That was a thing because here's a story. So when I was so I streamed Daikatana for maybe 2 or 3 nights because I hate myself, which is well known.
Did you finish it? I don't know if you finished it.
No. I only did it for a couple of nights and then I moved on with my life. I don't hate myself that much. But so I played it a bit, and so I did one session and got a decent chunk through chapter 1. I'd gotten to Superfly Johnson, learned how bad the AI was sitting there in trepidation of the next week when I'd get the second AI thing, and now I've got 2 of them running around. But then I loaded up Daikatana, get ready to stream the next week, and it opens up. It's like, hey, there's an update, because I was running with fan patches to make it run on a modern machine without it being a complete garbage file. I mean, okay, less of a garbage file would actually work. Yeah,
slightly less, just a little bit.
You can't save Daikatana, but you can make it work.
You can force it to function reasonably.
Yes, so I ran that update. It's like, yeah, okay. And then my save file was broken by having updated it, because the update changed how they saved things.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, cool. And I was looking up the stuff, and this was the VOD's long gone because of Twitch's, rules and how they hold on to it.
This is why you have a YouTube channel to upload VODs to.
Yeah. But the first 30, 40 minutes of that stream was looking up what happened to my save file, why did it break, and it's like, oh yeah, we recommend you back up your save file every time you do an update, because some of our updates will break saves and some other ones won't. I'm like, why don't you, this is a very Daikatana-like update system, why don't you just put in the thing, hey, this one will break saves. You developed the update, you know which ones will break them and which ones won't.
Exactly.
So in the end, I had to recreate my save file via the magic of cheats, because it was made back in the day where cheats were a thing that you didn't have to pay extra money for.
Oh, yes, I remember those days. Yeah, that was good. That was good fun. Opening up the command console, putting in IDKFA or whatever. Although I think back in Doom there wasn't a commands console. I think it was just you type in the code while the game was running.
Yeah, IDKFA would work. I think there was a commands console, but it didn't do stuff. Or it wasn't easily accessible by
it was like the Quake 3 Arena days onwards where they added the commands console to games.
Yeah. So I actually had to open the commands console for Daikatana, and I basically just put myself back on the level I remembered I was at. I mean, I knew what level I was at because the save file was still there and it read the metadata. It's like, okay, you're on this level, blah, 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 blah. It just wouldn't load the file. It would just go, oh, yeah, no, this is corrupt. Like, well, it's not corrupt. It's just an older version. So I went there, and then I had to put the cheats to give myself all the guns back as well.
Oh, so, yeah. How many different things did it save? Was it just, is it completely linear?
Yeah, it was a linear game, so just remember where you were, what your health was. I mean, where you were, what your progress was within that level, what you picked up, what you hadn't. Mm-hmm. And then, you'd have stored, health left, armor left, what guns you had, what ammo you had for each, that kind of stuff.
It's a weird concept to have, going back to the day of those kinds of shooters, because Daikatana was kind of unique in that period, but, I distinctly remember playing Doom and Quake and Wolfenstein and all that. You get to the end of the level, you get into the next level, and your health is restored. But from what I remember watching of Daikatana, you got to a new level and you had, 2 health at some point, or something along those lines. Was that?
Yeah, I think that was the case.
And it's you couldn't proceed because you were going to die in one hit.
I think it was either that or it was where I'd happened to have saved or had gotten a checkpoint or something like that. But I had the checkpoint death loop happening for a while until I dodged my way around it. But I say dodged my way around it. I mean, find a rocket launcher, learned where all the enemies were shooting me from, and then fired rockets into the corner around the corner to them.
Speedrun strats.
It's or it's more like, okay, you can't. It's a no-hit run strat. That's what it is. I know where you spawn, so that is what I'm shooting. Yeah, that game's a mess.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at an article right now about 20 years ago. John Romero's Daikatana nearly destroyed Doom's legacy. So what exactly happened with this game? Because I don't think it was id. It wasn't id Software. He went off and made his own studio, didn't he?
So there were disagreements between John Carmack and John Romero.
Mm-hmm.
And Carmack was, and I mean, typically Carmack was more of the tech guy. I mean, nowadays he works for Oculus and, builds rockets in his backyard as a hobby.
For the hell of it, let's just go build rockets.
Literally rocket science as a hobby.
For the fun of it. Why not?
With his kids. So, yeah, there you go.
Family bonding.
Yeah, why not? It's a good way to do it. Just blow stuff up. But yeah, so he was more of the tech guy, and then Romero is more of like the design stuff. But also, Romero had the whole rock star lifestyle that, quote unquote rock star lifestyle. He was the kind of crazier guy, he'd be the guy who'd show up and do no work kind of thing.
That's kind of a wild concept to me, a rock star game developer.
Yeah, and there's a reason you don't get that often, and it's because you need to do work to make things happen.
On the subject, wasn't there somebody recently who was complaining about the fall of the rockstar game developer kind of persona? I feel like it was Neil Druckmann actually that commented on this. Like, there's no more rockstar game developers, or someone commented on that, or was it? Might have been Cliffy B, might have been Cliff Blazinski. Hard to tell.
I don't know. I haven't seen much game-wise off Cliff lately.
Oh no, he's writing a memoir right now. He's not doing games.
Yeah. But I mean, like, even on like Twitter and stuff, because I follow him on the Twitter, but I haven't seen him like saying stuff about games muchly. Mostly just ripping into Trumpists lately, which is fun. But yeah, no, I don't know. It sounds like a Druckmann thing, just because I would expect that from him. Anyway, yeah. So he had disagreements with Carmack for some reason. I can't remember. I had a book that actually kind of went through the whole story, and I don't know where it is.
I'll see if I can find a mention of it in here somewhere.
Yeah, the book's called Masters of Doom. I remember it was a good read, but I don't know where my copy of it is, and I don't remember much from it because it's been a long time ago. But so he left and formed a company called Ion Storm.
Oh, yeah.
And then Ion Storm was what built Daikatana, but they also built a good game. I believe they made Deus Ex as well.
Yeah, I think they were involved in Deus Ex. I don't know in what capacity. I think
it was a different team. It was not Romero.
Wasn't it that guy that went off to make Epic Mickey? What was his name? I forget who he was.
Oh, jeez.
He was heavily involved in the original Deus Ex. Not sure about Invisible War. Oh God, his name's on the tip of my tongue. It's a really
It's garbage anyway. Was it Warren Spector?
That's the one. I was going to say he's got a bit of a weird name. So like he's got a bit of a stage name kind of character.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I'm reading here, John Romero, once the golden boy of PC gaming, had become a laughingstock. The marketing of Daikatana hadn't done him any favors. A notorious magazine ad that trumpeted John Romero's about to make you his bitch, combined with John Carmack telling magazines that Romero's work ethic was gone, had turned Romero's public image from a hardcore gamer made good to a lazy, out-of-touch playboy. Like, I just have this weird... I mean, I know this is bad to say, but back in the time period of when this came out, when Daikatana came out, when Quake and Doom were relevant, the idea of the game developer was that of the quirky nerd who couldn't get girls. That was the stereotype. And I just can't picture a game developer back in that period of time being the lazy, out of touch playboy type. I don't get game dev. I don't know.
I mean, the nerdy stereotype I identified with heavily. Probably one of the reasons I went towards game dev, to be honest.
That's one of the reasons I almost went into it.
Like as a kid. But but on the other side of it, it was just like, oh, well, the reason I went for game dev, the main reason was I played a game gone, this is really cool. Someone had to make this. I want to learn that.
Yeah, that still allures me quite a lot.
But yeah, there's no the thing with the thing with Daikatana though, so Romero went off and did the thing. He'd come up with this idea, and oh look, overscoped again. We talk about overscoped, like he came up with the huge idea. I mean, think about what's in Daikatana. Like even if it all worked, right? So we've got 4-5 chapters, something like that. Each one set in a different period in time. each one of them has a different set of weapons and a different set of enemies. Like, it's effectively made 4 or 5 games on the same engine.
Oh God, I'll have to play this at some point.
Because I mean, as I said, like they all, they're all first-person shooters. They've got your AI. They've got your amazing AI. Fucking Superfly. Anyway, they've got their AI. They've got, but each different chapter is set in a completely different time period. So you've got like the current time period where you do those levels, which you probably saw me streaming. There was like future tech, and there's these guns which are more likely to kill you than anyone else because they all have bouncing bullets and that kind of stuff. But when you finish that chapter, you go back in time to like ancient Greece, I think it was.
That's what I think I saw. Yeah.
And then you get like a discus that you can throw and bounce off walls, and you kind of catch it. That one won't kill you if it comes back and hits you because you just kind of catch it. And all those weapons change again every time you beat a new chapter.
That sounds good conceptually. That's the thing. Like the idea doesn't sound bad.
It's just the implementation is off because it took them a really long time to build. Every time they built it, they changed engines repeatedly. And then there was the whole Romero is lazy and doesn't actually do any work stuff going on there, So it was kind of and I think in the end he crawled back to Carmack and licensed the Quake 2 engine anyway, which was one of the reasons for a delay, because they'd gone and had to rewrite the whole thing again on a different engine that they couldn't quite figure out. And I don't think Carmack was being particularly charitable with support for that engine.
Yeah, I don't imagine he would have been.
Like, okay, you can license my engine because you're paying me for that. I'm not going to help you too much. Figure it out.
Animal, yeah.
That would be my guess there. I mean, I think by now they're both cooled down on each other. But there was
as far as I'm aware,
there was a lot of heat back then, which is what led to them splitting to begin with. That's why you got like Quake 2 and stuff that were
and the mention here of Doom 3 in this article.
Oh dear.
Because John Carmack, sorry. As it says here, Carmack was still the king of cutting-edge engines. And that was what Doom 3 was about. Like, going back to the whole Doom 3 being this, more gritty realism. I did actually play Doom 3. I don't know if I think I finished it. But yeah, it definitely was a pretty big detachment from the fast-paced kind of style of the original Doom games. And I want to say a portion of that, at the very least, would have had to have been technical limitations, because John Carmack was trying to push the tech as far as he could, but the game engines of the time, or the technology of the time, probably couldn't render everything as quickly as classic Doom would have done. So thereby, he went with this approach of like, everything's narrow corridors with intense amounts of detail, and look at all this, cryptic lighting and all this obscene tech that we've got. Versus, what things used to be like. Doom was quite revelatory in terms of its aesthetic, but
on a tech level as well.
Yeah.
Like it reminds me back when I was doing my game dev degree, my second degree there, where one of the teachers actually said, "Look, like one of my game design teachers, like, okay, look, 30 frames a second at this high resolution and this quality of graphics is amazing, but if you have 30 frames per second of a black screen, it's still a black screen. Design something that looks good.
Exactly. Yeah.
It doesn't need to be the highest. It doesn't need to be the highest fidelity, highest realism, highest resolution, anything. If it's got a cool art style, or if it's got interesting levels and game mechanics, that's going to be infinitely better." And he was using Doom 3 as the example there, because it's a revolutionary game engine, but you're still getting 30 frames a second, 60 frames a second, whatever, of a black screen.
Yeah, true.
Turn your monitor off at that point.
Our games have blacker blacks, like smart TVs or whatever. What was I gonna say? Oh fuck, I had a point now. Oh yeah, like the art style of those classic Doom and Quake games stands out to me so vividly, especially Quake 3, because of how polygonal everything is, even if they were striving in some ways for some level of realism and groundbreaking technology at the time. There's still an element of that art style that appeals to me even now, that I would love to see more games. And there's a game that's either coming out or it is out called Gloomwood, which is kind of like Thief, which has that same kind of art style. I think the website for the game is literally Thief with Guns or something like that. And it looks really awesome because it emulates that what we would now call retro, I suppose. Remember when we used to think retro was like 8-bit, and now retro is polygonal PS1 era kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, retro is early 3D.
Yeah, which I love. I love early 3D visual style. I think it's
3D
fantastic.
Kind
As long as it's got that pixely... I mean, it can be either very pixelated textures on all the polygons, or it can be slightly blurry, low-res, artistically styled textures, I suppose.
Yeah.
You don't want stuff that goes for that hyper-realism. I don't think I could play Max Payne in this day and age, because that one hasn't aged well.
Look, you can't play Max Payne in this day and age because it will break if you try to run it.
Probably.
I tried it.
Did you ever play the Kung Fu mod of Max Payne? It was basically the Matrix mod.
I only ever played Max Payne 1 once, and it was probably 2 years ago, and I couldn't get it to run. Like, the tutorial crashed.
Dang. Because that was I swear to goodness.
That's a series I never really got to give a go, so...
That was the only one I devoted any time to, primarily because of that Kung Fu mod. It was phenomenal. It was just the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
You got the bullet time dodging, you can run on walls, you can kick dudes in the head. It was phenomenal.
Okay, I mean, I got that experience by playing Matrix... Which one was it? It wasn't Path of Neo. It was the one where you didn't play as Neo. You played as
Enter the Matrix, where you play as Ghost and Niobe. That was good.
Yeah,
I actually liked that game.
That was fun.
Path of Neo was alright for the time.
I never gave Path of Neo a go, but like I enjoyed Enter the Matrix. And it's like, yeah, you're people who have the slow-mo powers and stuff, but you can't take an agent one-on-one. This isn't
exactly.
You are murder everyone and leave. This is you still have to pick your battles.
I do believe, spoiler alert for a game from 2002 or whatever it was. I think there was probably a point at the end of Enter the Matrix where you could kill an agent for the sake of gameplay mechanics. They're just like, oh, we're going to let you do it so you feel powerful, probably. But the story of that game leaves a lot to be desired.
I think it was kind of final boss kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
better than the final boss of Path of Neo.
Oh dear.
There's something to Google.
Oh boy. Alright. Path of Neo. Final bopsis, because my typo is 37-minute video. Yeah, I'll leave that for later.
Oh god. No, don't watch that. But it was something. They were just like, oh, the ending of the Matrix Revolutions wasn't up to our standard. So let's end they had this whole cutaway gag. They're gonna give you a big badass boss instead.
Sure. Okay, why not? I mean, half of Matrix Revolutions was just machines shooting at a hole in the ceiling, and the other half was Neo is now Goku.
Yeah, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of was it The Last Jedi? Yeah, Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, where it's like there's a sequence that takes up like 2/3 of that movie, where they're on that stupid ship, and then off in the background, I think Rey is doing fuck knows what. I don't know. But that movie's just so fucking drawn out on that one segment, and that's exactly what the Matrix Revolutions does. Like, nothing's happening, but everyone's panicking. Like, okay, I can't care less at this point.
Seems legit. I don't know.
Ay. Video games, movies, all of that, they all suck.
Yeah.
Throw them out. I want new ones. Okay, so, what do we got? Going back to the Doom thing for a sec. So what happened with Romero post Daikatana? Let's have a look here. Let's see if that mentions.
Excellent question, because I don't have an answer for that one.
I'm not sure if he did anything. Did he do anything?
It may have been like this. I know that he and his kid made a game on mobile.
Oh yeah.
Like a zombie taco truck or something.
Okay. Well, this says Romero kept busy starting a number of studios and releasing titles ranging from web games to full-on MMOs. In 2016, he and Adrian Carmack, no relation to John apparently, teamed up to launch a Kickstarter campaign for Black Room, the first FPS he had designed since Daikatana. 4 days later, he cancelled crowdfunding and the state of the game is unclear.
Okay.
That's the end of this particular article on John Romero. When's this from? This is from just last year, 26th of May. So yeah, there's.
Yeah, I've opened the wiki and I'm just like, okay, I'm not seeing. Just look. Oh, here we go. Here's like the credits, the games with credits on them. So let me find where Daikatana is and then just go from there, right? I'm not even seeing what year was Daikatana.
Oh, here's something. In January 2019, John Romero appeared on the H-Bomber Guy Donkey Kong 64 stream, raising money for the trans charity Mermaids in response to comments made by Graham Linehan about the charity.
Yeah.
I watched...
that was a fun one.
I need to find some like clips of that stream because I watched H-Bomber Guy's talk about that particular event. It was absolutely amazing.
Here you go. So here's his games discography, I guess, from Daikatana onwards, according to Wikipedia, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Daikatana in 2000, he was apparently involved in Red Faction.
The original Red Faction or like one of the later ones?
The original. Misses us in order from there. So 2001 Red Faction.
Okay.
Anachronox, don't know what that is. Hyperspace Delivery Boy, Jules and Jim, Dig It, Congo Cube. I don't... Stop me if you hear something familiar.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at it too and I can't see anything familiar.
Gauntlet, Seven Sorrows, Area 51.
Area 51 I remember seeing the cover art of. That's it.
I mean, it's going to have an alien on it, right?
Yeah, it's an alien.
Yeah,
an alien.
Marvel's Hero Squad Online, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Commander, Pettington Park, Dodger Down, Play Gigit, Techno Dash, Dangerous Dave in the Deserted Pirates Hideout. Grom Skate, Warp Cop 3. What about 1 and 2? July 4, 1976. That's the title of the game. I don't know. Best Gunman Taco Truck. That's the one that his kid made and he helped. So...
Okay. Created by Romero Games.
Yeah, and then the other two, also Romero Games Limited, Sigil and Empire of Sin, which I know neither of.
I know of Empire of Sin only because I follow Romero on Twitter and I've seen him mention it a few times. And generally speaking, when he brings it up, a bunch of people are in his replies being super keen about it. Plays as a real-time strategy game with the player taking the role of a crime boss in the Prohibition era. An interesting concept.
That sounds cool. All right, I might give that one a look later. But yeah, I mean, all those last three Romero games, and Gunman Taco Truck was helping teach his kid to learn how to code and stuff. And that's mobiles. It's actually all right. You literally play a taco truck. You will drive between towns in the zombie apocalypse and run over zombies and stuff and shoot them.
Oh,
and
fun.
then and between those, when you're at the town, you've actually got to serve people tacos.
There you go.
So it's actually it's actually kind of cool. For a mobile game, I definitely give it a look. I remember buying it. Haven't played it a long time though. I might give it another look.
Apparently Sigil, when you hover over Sigil, it's a Doom wad, apparently. So for the original Doom, he must have done whatever that is. Let me look that up actually really quickly, because I think I remember him talking about Sigil vaguely. John Romero's Sigil.
An unofficial episode 5 consisting of 9 missions.
Oh, there you
go.
Doom.
There we go. Based off it linked to the Doom article, that portion of it. So
I couldn't see it on there for some reason. I don't know. I was looking for his name. I was looking for the word Sigil. I couldn't see it in there.
Yeah, and when I clicked on it, it's just I don't know. I haven't played it. Probably not going to go back to the original Doom. Let's be honest.
Yeah, true. I mean, I'm not even 100% sure I ever finished it. I have played it, and I think I played Doom 2. I think I played Quake 1 and 2. I do distinctly remember playing Quake 2 and going all the way through that. Quake 3 I played a lot of because that's just an arena shooter. You just run around. I just literally like to go and play Quake 3 Arena from time to time just to murder the fuck out of bots. That's it.
Yeah.
It's power fantasy in multiplayer, but it's not multiplayer. Look at me. I'm the champion, esports king of the world, queen of the world. I gotta say queen of the world now.
As opposed to our attempts at Mordhau.
Exactly. There are bots in that when you don't have enough players on the other side, aren't there?
There are bots modes nowadays as well. There's a survival mode thing. It's effectively zombies. But,
okay. That could be fun, actually.
It's barricade the thing. The AI things. I never got to give it a good go. But
You know what's funny though is if there are games like that don't have some kind of long form incentive, which I suppose is that's an indication of the way that games of that variety go. Now, let's speak about Phasmophobia, for example. We've played a bit of that, and when we played it, realistically, it wasn't particularly a long game. You would play X amount of ghost hunting missions. Eventually, you would unlock all of the gadgets, and then once you've unlocked all the gadgets, what's the gameplay incentive to keep going, right? Whereas if you're playing a game that's got a bunch of skins, for example, the incentive becomes then there's this really cool skin I could get in 50 levels if I keep grinding the game away. And I mean, I don't appreciate grind in games in any way, shape, or form. But that is still that kind of incentive for it. And if you, I don't know about Mordhau specifically. I suppose Mordhau's got a lot of items in it, doesn't it?
In Mordhau, you unlock more weapons and equipment, and then you also unlock skins for those weapons and equipment.
So yeah, there's still that incentive,
exactly.
I suppose,
But
to
also,
do that kind of stuff.
Also, that incentive is that, there's also a multiplayer online competitive game, so there's always the murking noobs part of that too, right?
Yeah, there's always that variety.
Competition in the game. So
that makes it interesting, I suppose.
As much as I enjoy Mordhau, I rarely have a good time with it nowadays because I'm just so bad.
That's the issue. That's the thing that I had with Overwatch. I played a ton of Overwatch, ton of Dead by Daylight. Like, I'm never getting out of this bracket that I'm in, where I'm really not as good as the people in the literal next tier above me. I just cannot get on to their level. That's kind of the issue that I've always had with competitive games of any variety, is that none of the gameplay styles click with me enough that I can. And I suppose the problem really is that some people are literally playing these games starting on 10 hours a day or something, and they're just paying attention to every finer detail. So they know exactly what to do in any given situation. I just never had the patience for it, for competitive gaming.
Yeah, too much practice, too much getting wrecked. It's just I've made my peace with the fact that it's generally not my thing so much nowadays. So
yeah, exactly. Give it the old college try, and then if you can't be bothered, don't worry about it. I think there's only so much losing I can take, before I'm just like, I can't be bothered.
We were all pretty demoralized at Mordhau.
Exactly, yeah. And that's that speaks to another issue with that kind of gaming model, I suppose, is that it's an expectation that if you go into heavily competitive games designed around the esports model, you're going to be demoralized no matter what you do. And the games have this addictive gameplay loop where you're expected to continue playing them. You get into the rhythm of things and you enjoy the gameplay, but you're expected to play to such an extent that it turns into a bit of a job, even if you're not at a competitive level. If you want to get to that higher level, if you want to get to fucking diamond in whatever, I don't know, platinum, shiny wood, I don't know. Like, if you want to get to that level, you have to devote ludicrous hours and have it sap your life.
And I think matchmaking could be a big part of it too, right? Because we were getting matched against people who were so much better than us.
Oh yeah, for sure. Finding a good matchmaking system, especially if the game's audience isn't that big. Like, let's just say, how many players per team was it in Mordhau? It was quite a few.
We were playing the smaller matches, which are still like 16 players a team. So that's still 32 players in a match. That's still a lot of people. And I mean, last time I played with Moonmei for a little bit on a stream, and we couldn't find any of the smaller ones. Everyone was just playing the bigger match.
Okay.
Which is 64 aside. So even worse. And they weren't full. It's just that they had enough people to actually run those games. So.
Okay. And if the audience of a game like that is smaller, that means, of course, in terms of matchmaking, you're going to end up inevitably being matched with more of those high-level players. And then that demoralization comes in again.
Because they're the only people who are still playing.
Exactly.
So, anyway, I could do with a brief break.
Yeah, we could do a break. I need to go get a bottle of water because I didn't bring it with me to the table. Sorry about that. We'll come back in about, couple of minutes? 5 minutes? Might grab another coffee, actually. That was good. All right. Well,
sounds good.
Don't go away, folks. I'll leave you with some music. And be sure to check out Kalgar's channel if you have not already. Does that work? Yes, it does.
Worked.
There we go. All right. BRB.
I'll do announcement stuff post-break, I think.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, it's on break.
You need to get off me. Off you get, cat. still here. Hello. Hang on a sec. Okay, so I forgot to turn my mic off on stream. I haven't got my headphones in. Hang on a sec.
Whoops.
I'm back. We're back. You probably heard me telling my Google Home. Oh, music's still up. You guys probably heard me telling my Google Home, hey Google, turn off kitchen.
Whoops.
And grabbing myself some 85% dark chocolate. This shit is good.
I don't know if I was muted because I at one point I said, okay, I'm back and ready when you are.
I muted you on my end, so at least I don't think anyone would have heard you on my end.
Either way.
Anyway.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I came back over and I'm like, oh, my mic/aux audio thing is going. Great,
Whoops.
cool.
Whoops.
At least I've got noise gates and noise suppressors on my microphone, so chances are, me being 2 rooms away, you wouldn't have heard me talking to a fucking tablet in my kitchen, but...
I mean, I didn't, so I would assume that it didn't reach the stream.
True. And you've got that wireless headset fancy technology. I tend to go on about how poor I am, and here I am with a Google Home device.
Yes,
which was a gift, I'll say that.
Yeah, I don't have one of those. I mean, I'm on an iPhone, so I don't have the Google stuff anyway, and Siri likes to get involved when she really shouldn't be.
That is true. I hate these listening technologies.
Meanwhile, when I actually want to use it, I can't for the life of me get it to...
Yeah, they don't work. They work inconsistently. I literally only use the Google Home thing. I don't know why my dad got me this thing, because I literally only use it to, like, check the weather and change the colors of the lights in my house. I was like, I could connect my TV to it, I could connect my computer to it, I'm sure. But I'm like, it's just too much effort to set it all up. You know?
I just use it to occasionally give me directions when I'm driving.
Yeah. I like the idea of a smart house as much as terrifying as it is. You know, we've seen it represented in fiction numerous times. We've seen the idea of, let's talk to the house and let the house do everything for us. And it always ends badly, and yet, I like the notion.
And there's always the running memes where it's like, hey, intruder alert, and then it's like, changes the light, starts playing Duel of the Fates or whatever.
I totally would. I mean, if I had the opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. I would probably just, like, make it, red lights, start playing Dark Souls music.
Nudix Gundir music.
Set up something like that. Set up a row of lights somewhere that is just like a boss health bar.
I'm out dressed as Vort of the Boreal Valley, or have you and Shay done up as Ornstein and Smo.
Ornstein and Smo. Oh, that'd be brilliant.
You're not a fan of wiretaps. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. It's like, we know... This is the thing that gets me... I know, this is the thing that gets me about the anti-vaxxers, right? The situation with the anti-vaxxers constantly going on about how they think we're going to get chips implanted in us. Can they at least be salt and vinegar? But, like, do you really think they need to inject us with something to track us? You know, we go on about the smartphones all the fucking time. Everyone has one. Almost everyone has one. Like, they can track you. They don't need to put a chip in you to track you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You've bought the thing. You bought the
you
device.
Paid to get chipped. Yeah, I stole Kez's joke. The salt and vinegar thing was Kez's joke.
Fair enough.
I apologize. Am I gonna get cancelled? I stole a joke.
Oh dear.
I remember the big kerfuffle around, was it Carlos Mencia a few years ago? He was a comedian who was stealing a ton of jokes. And there were up-and-coming comedians who would go on before his set. And he would be stealing jokes from them. And it became a big deal. True, it is the 11th of the 1st. I came back yesterday, technically. So,
yeah,
10th of the 1st in the real time zone, you know, in the real world. Can't believe we unsubbed. You can't unsub from someone. You get to keep your sub until the cycle rolls around. I've still got your money.
Oh dear. I don't know. What do we want to move on to?
I'm not sure. I've got
Shall I talk Inconsolables bullshit for a moment?
If you would like to promo, yeah, let's get a bit of a promo segment here for Inconsolables.
Promo. Well, yeah.
Promo
So
moment.
For a bit of. Well, I think it is 260 something episodes, so it would be over 5 years now. Let me fact check myself on that one. Actually, no, 216. That's the. I've still got the bloody editing file open for the one coming out tomorrow. 216. So over 4 years. So this is our 5th year of the podcast. We've been doing a dumbass podcast called The Inconsolables, where we whinge about game industry bullshit and then talk about stuff we played. We do make a point of calling out good stuff we see too, but that tends to be the minority because the game industry is the game industry.
As it is.
So that's me, Thundermace, Oz, Mrs. Lalante, and Sammy Deech all do that one episode a week. We're coming back from our sort of holiday hiatus tomorrow, but I also wanted to pre-announce that we've started a Patreon because it turns out that paying out of pocket for a podcast gets expensive.
Oh, is that what you're paying for? I was going to say, what's the money for the Patreon going to go to specifically? But yeah, you have to pay for hosting, don't you?
For the hosting, yes. You can get free hosting, but we've gone with paid, so because it's better hosting. So there in chat is the link for that Patreon if you are interested. We are doing extra content for anyone who puts $1 or more in. We've got 3 tiers, but we're not removing content from anyone. The lowest tier will be,
unlike me,
content. So it's it's basically extra outtakes, extra little bits of audio. Occasionally we're looking at doing watch parties and stuff too, so priority entry to those for patrons, all that kind of stuff. And
that'd be good.
Scored, all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested, give that a look there. And there is a $20 tier for a personalized shout out on the show as well. So if you are interested in that stuff, give that a look. And if you're not, that's fine. Go listen to the podcast anyway, because that's free. It's just the money gives you a little bit of extra stupid content.
That becomes a bit of the tricky situation, isn't it? Well, I mean, as me personally, I'm a staunch anti-cap. You know that much.
Well, yes.
It's we're creators and we want to give away our content for free. We want people to be able to actually just tune in without any obligation. And yet,
exactly.
We'd like to be able to live off it too. Speaking of, Ren, thank you so much for the sub. Thank you so kindly for gifting a sub to Fluffy.
Nice one.
Has that been...
Yeah, the podcast isn't going paid at all like that. You'll still get the regular show. It's just there'll be little bits of extra content for the for those who do. So we were talking about the idea of maybe just recording the video of the Zoom calls and propping those up, which means you get a unedited version of it if you want to see the dumb shit I remove.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Things. That kind of stuff. Next week, we're going to record a little predictions thing for the year, and that's going to go under the paid section. All that kind of little bits of extra content.
That's what you want.
Stuff that we couldn't fit into the normal episodes. For a long time, we've been talking about doing a section called Paul and Sammy's Anime Corner.
Oh, yeah.
But usually we don't, our episodes already get up to an hour and a half fairly frequently without doing that. So it's we'll occasionally record one of those and put that on the Patreon, that kind of stuff. So if you're interested,
Patreon's good for is you want to incentivize people to go there. So you want to give them some value for money. I've seen many people who are running Patreons where it's literally just a blog and they only have a $2 tier. So you get in, it's just basically a blog, but it's still something extra on top of the content you're getting for free. By the way, Soul Reaper, there's that, and I believe Magic Man got one as well, so I don't know if Magic Man is still here, but you get your middle finger as well. Gotta stay on brand.
Magic Man's probably still around somewhere. He'll tap out around 10
He doesn't
something.
get the kiss.
Oh, harsh. Anyway, that's kind of the mini announcement. It is live. We're doing a proper announcement on Twitter and stuff tomorrow when the new episode goes out too. But yeah,
it's a good thing.
Check that out.
Magic Man. Okay, I'll give you the official one. There you go. Okay. Anywho, as we were saying, now, let's talk Patreon. Let's talk about content creation and things like that. Because I've recently, for anyone who has subscribed to my $5 tier of Patreon or above, will get access to the first 6 minutes of my new video. So the introduction and the title sequence. And I thought that was a good way to incentivize people to join up if they were interested. Is you get that preview of the new stuff that's coming out, which is more heavily produced. I feel like this is going to be a bit of a gloat, but this new video I'm working on, I feel like I deserve a little bit of a kickback. Let's be honest. I'm putting in a lot of effort into this video, and I'm going to be doing so moving forward. The idea is there's going to be a video essay a month. So I'd like to put out something, and here's a tip that I've been working on with this video. If you're doing video editing, if you ever decide, for whatever reason, you want to do like a cut down section of your VODs or anything like that, if you're working on something and you have if you have actual outtakes, you said you're doing the outtakes thing, right? Sort of with the podcast?
Yeah, though it's an audio podcast, that's a bit...
But what I've been doing, I don't know if Audacity or whatever it is you edit with has this... It's not really a function, kind of a function, but I've been taking the outtakes I want from the main video, I forget what it's called, the main section with all the layers of different video and audio and whatever. And I've been just dragging them right to the very end of the video, like way past the end of the footage. And I've just been building my outtakes as I go, which is something I never thought of doing until I started this video.
Nice. The outtakes for our podcast are usually, if anything, it's just a bit of pre-roll. Or someone umming and ahhing a little bit too much, in which case I just remove that stuff, and that doesn't see the light of day, because you don't need an reel. Yeah,
true. But, the stuff where you stumble over your words and you mess up and all that, people love that shit. And I distinctly remember, on the subject of outtakes, I watched the ones on the Spider-Man, 2002 Spider-Man DVD.
Oh, yeah.
And it was all funny stuff, everyone's having a laugh, until it gets to the point where it's... guy who plays Norman Osborn. I fucking know his name. I can't think of it right now. Fuck, you can't think of it either. We don't know what his name is. But that guy, he's in Willem Dafoe. Anyway. Thank you, Magic.
There we go, Dafoe.
Willem Defriend. Hello, Pixie. Hello, Mrs. L. Welcome in, everybody, by the
Mrs.
way.
L. Mrs. L literally just missed me announcing the thing that she knows about.
But we get to the point where he's in his... I think the segment is he's in his master bedroom and he's having that mental breakdown moment where he's talking to himself in the mirror. And he keeps stuffing up. And every other outtake, everyone's going, ha ha ha, we messed up, we're having a laugh. Every single one of his outtakes is super serious, and he's going, fuck! And they're bleeping it.
Wow.
It's a really, the rest of the outtakes was fun. I'm not having fun anymore.
Yeah, some of the outtakes are just not worth keeping. When I say we cut stuff from the podcast, usually it's either we're talking around in circles for a bit and we needed to edit for time, or which isn't a great outtake to keep, or we've got a lot of pre-roll, which we'll keep a bit of pre-roll, and then we'll just yeet the stuff that either is completely irrelevant or was just the sinking clap and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But tomorrow's
That's
episode
outtake,
does
the sinking clap.
Yeah. Tomorrow's episode has a bit of pre-roll, but I think I've got an extended version of that pre-roll, which I'll probably throw onto the Patreon. So, there's a version where and I think both of them kind of are it is just. I'll take the shorter version of that, put that in the front of the episode, and then the longer version will just go to the Patreon as a bonus. So, there's a little bit of extra shit.
Steam is telling me about people playing video games. I'm like, Steam has stopped doing this until I had this Discord call.
Oh, of course.
The fuck? Oh, wait, maybe it's Discord doing it. No, I think it's Steam. Steam, what are you doing? We're doing a professional moment. And you're like...
Trained professional.
Professionalism. And on the subject of content. It's this is the thing. This is the tricky thing. We're doing stuff like Patreon, and I've been, especially lately, as you may have noticed over the past month or so towards the tail end of 2020, I've focused heavily on that whole situation with taking clips from my streams and cutting them down for content's sake. Hang on a second.
Yeah. Yeah, there's somebody probably needs to be eaten. There we go.
Anyway, do not interrupt the podcast. Thank you very much. Is it a podcast? I don't know if it's a podcast. But yeah, I've been using the whole...
it's a podcast.
The format that other streamers have used, especially in terms of topical discussion. Blatantly going to say I stole the idea from Vorsh. But, the idea of, I'm going to talk about a thing for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, and then cut that down for the sake of its own YouTube video. And that's in my opinion, probably an easy way to do the YouTube thing, to add more content there. And then I looked at TikTok briefly, and I took clips, tried uploading clips to TikTok from my streams. And it kind of worked. I don't know what you consider successful in terms of a TikTok, but all the ones I've uploaded are around 250 views, but I'm not getting any followers.
My TikTok stuff, I did a little bit of TikTok, and I found that my axe throwing stuff did much better on TikTok than my clips. I'm just popping it open right now so we can check what I had there, because I've got so my last axe throwing video had 275 views. My last Twitch clip had 198.
Yeah,
and
TikTok doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, no one's followed me off the back of the Twitch stuff. People have followed me off the back of axe throwing. So,
okay, well that gives you an idea. And that's another thing, is like we got a new social media platform that, quite frankly, you and I have most likely missed the boat on any reasonable success with it. I mean, it's possible someone could blow up now, but it feels like TikTok has become another one of those platforms for content that's so saturated now that hitting that, getting your foot in the door and making an impact situation, unless you have an established following, again, it's not going to really get you anywhere going in at our level, I think. And that's the problem with content creation in general, is like so many of these platforms have been around forever, that trying to get a foothold in, try to get a strong standing on any kind of content creation platform becomes distinctly difficult if the platform is archaic, I suppose the word would be. Not really, but you know what I mean.
TikTok as well, though, is a lot of the time, I've watched a decent chunk of TikTok stuff in general, and it's just doing the mind numbing, watch a video, move, like it or follow someone, move on. And a lot of the time it's hard to get, and it's the same problem with a lot of them, is that it's hard to get someone from one platform onto another platform. And so if your quote unquote main platform happens to be Twitch, where discoverability is a garbage fire and you're not going to get found,
discoverability literally doesn't exist on this platform.
Exactly. So how the fuck do you make that work?
Well, that's the idea that I've been told, and especially with regards to TikTok, is get a following elsewhere and drag them over. And that can be tricky, of course, and that's why there was that thing with my YouTube channel. It's all Twitch clips. I specifically put down the bottom of those videos, recorded live on twitch.tv. I think there's been a few people who've stopped by as a result of those particular videos. But yeah, the problem then becomes, it's like, if you're making content across multiple platforms and you want to bring people over, you gotta force it into them. You gotta be like, this is where this content came from. Come follow me here. And that's really far more complex than I think a lot of people give it credit for. I think some people hit it out of the park. It just comes naturally to a few of them. And then the advice is, go do TikTok. Like, okay, what the fuck do I do on TikTok then? Yeah,
and then the advice doesn't go any further than that. It's just, go do TikTok. It's like, okay, how?
Exactly.
Oh, be different than everyone else. Okay.
Oh, yeah, thanks for that.
Helpful.
Look, people were telling me that on Twitch for the longest time, and I went and I became as different as I possibly could.
That's one of the reasons why I'm doing some of the editing to the Twitch clips, popping them onto Twitter, popping them onto Facebook, and making sure I've got that stinger that says, with the logo and here's the Twitch thing. I do need to upgrade that stinger, but I can't art, so I need to pay someone to art better for me. For
stingers
that.
Are a pain in the ass. This is why I went with the fade. I went back to the fade. It's like, the fade is simple. The fade looks professional. You just swap between scenes. It's just a quick, seamless transition.
Yeah, I just have it, roll up and whatever. Or I'm trying a few different ones as I do more clips. I need to do another clip for a few days. But, they're always, short videos. That's like, here's, 10, 15 seconds of something stupid that I added a bit of editing to, right? So there's an Undertale one that I just zoomed in on me laughing at, and then kept that laughter through the logo thing and all that kind of stuff. There's another one where I put a JoJo meme on top of some Mordhau gameplay because everyone was kicking a cart for no reason. And I'm like, hey, that's like that JoJo meme where the dudes are kicking this guy on the floor, and then this guy's sipping the wine and gets up and joins them. But the thing is, in the game, these guys were kicking the cart, and I joined them for no reason. So I just added that meme over the top of the clip, and then bunged that into Twitter. I'm like, that could be funny.
Yeah.
And it's just, as shit posting, like I said at the top of the show, it's absolute shit posting, but it might lead somewhere. It's open, right?
Yeah, that's the thing about that's another way to blow up. As far as I've seen in terms of content creation, is being able to hit on the memes as soon as they're again, they get in on the ground level kind of shit. You want to be able to hit on memes as soon as they are popular. As soon as they are having their moment, you want to be able to get in on the ground floor. And that's, again, I don't know how people do it. I do not have any concept of how people are doing this. It's completely and totally beyond me. that some people are just so on the ball with this stuff. I go into certain people's streams and they're referencing memes I've never heard before, and then a week later they're all over social media. They're taken off, and I was like, I don't get like the Wojaks. Remember Rage Faces from back in 2012 and so on? Now we got Wojaks, which are just revisiting like memes. I guess are cyclical.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's that whole thing.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, the JoJo thing I referenced is, an older meme, but at the same point, JoJo's eternal to a degree.
Yeah,
so,
I think there are some memes, where it just stays in. There are some memes where they just sort of, they're still there. You can still reference them, and there are other ones where they'll just go away because they were topical or whatever.
Yeah, ones are like more news related or whatever. So,
yeah,
that's a whole thing. It's an older meme, sir, but it checks out. I was waiting for you to say that too, Reaper.
Have a good one, Ren. Have a good one.
That in itself is a meme, so...
Exactly. And there are some...
Circular meme party at this point.
I think the Star Wars prequels are by far the most meme-worthy movies amongst the Star Wars series.
I've cycled back to my standard greeting just being, hello there. That's a problem, I think.
They're perfect. They're perfect movies. I will accept no criticisms.
I'm not offering any criticisms.
You can't take those movies seriously. You simply can't. I mean, I don't know what it is about the originals. I guess the fact that, for their time, they were somewhat revolutionary. There was something about them that hit. Right. Star Wars was immediately popular back when they first released.
Yeah, it was interesting. And I think I don't know. I mean, when was it first released? I feel like the originals were older. Yeah, okay, they're older than me.
And yeah, Star Wars, it was originally just Star Wars, was 1977.
Yeah. Either way, they're older than me. But it's one of those things that's like, what else sci-fi was big at the time? I feel like Star Trek was... I feel like Star Trek and Doctor Who were like the only other real ones, and they weren't necessarily popular. It was like, sci-fi was very much in a nerd stuff kind of zeitgeist at the time, I feel. And so Star Wars did that and kind of made it a bit more popcorn flicky, I feel.
Yeah, I think that's where it took off. Is it took a genre that was very steeped in that absurd fiction, that absurd view of the future, which is kind of amusing because Star Wars is a long time ago, blah blah bullshit. Yeah, I think it took that whole idea and just very much simplified it. As much as we like to give credit to the older movies for being groundbreaking and setting the stage for the whole Star Wars franchise, at their very core, they are the most accessible sci-fi franchise that you could get into.
Oh, yeah.
By far.
So, the other side of it is, I was recently rewatched the prequels and the originals trilogy, and we didn't get in the sequels, so I think Shay wanted to. We just ran out of holiday time. But watching A New Hope, I'm sitting there, watching the first 20 minutes, I'm like... I feel like a lot of people would have walked out of that movie within the first 20 minutes, because when you look at it, it's the only talking characters at that point was Darth Vader for a moment, Leia for a moment, and then it's largely the droids landing on the planet, and then getting picked up by aliens that don't speak English. And then it's just like, this was actually kind of really freaking brave. Well, yes, but it was a very brave choice, considering that largely the dialogue in that first section of the movie is just jabbering noises and a shiny golden robot man.
It's weird what gets us interested in a movie nowadays compared to back then. A lot of movies are like that. I couldn't get through 2001: A Space Odyssey because it was so slow. I got to the 2/3 mark, and I had this problem with Scarface as well, honestly. I got halfway through Scarface. Yeah, I know it's a good movie, but I got to a certain point. I'm just like, this movie is not picking up. It's not grabbing me. And funnily enough, one of my favorite movies of all time is The Warriors, and I think that movie, from all I've recalled, has a lot more in common with modern day action flicks in a lot of ways. It's kind of not fast paced, but it is pretty quick to transition between different scenes. It has a pretty consistently, it has a bit of a Mad Max flow to it. Mad Max Fury Road flow to it. Mad Max, the original, that has that same problem again. Is the original Mad Max is very, very slow. Another one I couldn't get through because it was just so methodical in its storytelling, which is kind of unusual to think of when you think of Mad Max.
But yeah, when you think about A New Hope, you've got like all this stuff that's just like, for someone who's never seen a Star Wars movie before, because it's the very first one in existence, you go into it and it's like, I don't know what I'm looking at. Like, first we're in space, there's this guy in a space suit who's killing people, and then they stun this lady, and then these robots go on the planet, and now they're in the desert. It's like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, he doesn't get his lightsaber out in the start of the movie, does he? You don't see the lightsaber until partway through it.
He just kind of walks down the hallway without really doing much of anything, and it's just like, okay, I know he's a bad guy because he's wearing black, because that was a convention, and probably still is to a degree now.
It is, yeah. Like, you know what? Fuck it. Any hydrates are now going to be coffee. I don't fucking care. There's water in it. Get over it.
Yeah, it's largely water, really.
Yeah, it is.
But where was it? But yeah, so it's like, you know, there's not a lot that goes on for like obvious plot for a bit, you know? So it's just like, what is... Yeah. And then you look at, what was it? The ninth movie, I can't remember what they called it. Rise of
Skywalker. I had to think on that for a second.
A million things happened and a million planets were visited in the first 10 minutes or something, and I couldn't keep up.
Yeah, they flip-flopped hard, and I just...
It was like, what happened?
Yeah, it's really... And I think what they want is to build as much universe as they possibly can with those movies. And it's... Yeah, the problem is they're terrible at doing it in this day and age.
They didn't need to yeet the expanded universe. They could have just used that.
Yeah.
They had so much already there.
Absolutely.
And then
I know a lot of it was bad. I know there was a lot of EU stuff that was terrible, but I know there was a lot of good content. And I think, as far as I'm aware, a lot of the subplots from the EU, like the child or children of Han Solo and Leia being Jedi, that was lifted directly from that, pretty much. They just changed the names, changed the way everything panned out, sort of situation.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, yeah, I think with the new movies, they tried far too hard to be these roller coaster theme park movies. So along the way, like, you had... The originals had that very slow, methodical, classic storytelling method. George Lucas went very heavy on that samurai film inspiration for the original Star Wars movies. And then in the prequels, they went super, super hard on backstory and world building. They wanted to visit all these different worlds and set up, you know, what was supposed to be the story of Anakin descending into Darth Vader, obviously. And we got to see a whole lot more of the universe that was never explored. And then with the sequels, again, yeah, they wanted... both to capture the nostalgia of the originals and make it as appealing to as many people as possible through the method of just being... What's the phrase I'm looking for? Like, just palatable. They just wanted it to be as palatable as possible. So that everybody would just spend money on it, obviously. Look at the big flashy colors we got. Look at the lightsabers.
Shinies.
You know what? I'm not going to do the change the screen color thing because we've already interrupted the conversation. I need to turn these rewards off.
Yeah, it's something I realized while doing our co-op streams. Like, I need to turn off like the redeems that are like, read a book.
Yeah, it kind of ruins it a bit.
Yeah, it's like, I can't do that. We're playing a multiplayer game. You know, if it was me playing Dark Souls, fine. If it's a group of us doing other stuff, no, not so fun.
Exactly. And this is the thing. You're right. This would be a great idea that Twitch is not going to implement because Twitch is fucking lazy. Be a great idea if you could set up a preload for your streams where you're just like, okay, these channel point rewards are going to be active because people play different games and some people have rewards turned on for different games. You know,
I did that for a while, yeah.
So in that regard, what Twitch should be doing, realistically speaking, is adding the option if you're playing a different game, if you're playing a different category, if you're co-streaming or whatever, you should be able to switch off certain rewards. And, you know...
Or even just give you sets of rewards that you can just like swap between, so you can just kind of go, okay, I'm doing a co-stream tonight, I'm going to go to the multiplayer set, which doesn't,
exactly,
you know, turn off the stuff, right?
It'd be nice if Twitch would pay attention to literally any of our suggestions, but we know they won't.
Well, yeah. It makes too much sense, that's the problem.
Yeah. I personally think there is a lot of back-end stuff. What I have heard is that there's a lot of back-end stuff that is carried over from like Justin.tv, if I'm not mistaken, and as a result, they can't really fix a lot of it for whatever reason. I don't know why. I don't know what's stopping them. I guess technically speaking, what it would be like a maintenance period. They'd need to probably take the site down to fix these issues.
What would happen is on a technical level. I mean, I'm not much of a web dev, but it's possible that the code is so bloated and convoluted and stuff that like trying to change a bunch of stuff would just break more, and they need a lot of time and a lot of money to do that. And then they could still, be working on that in the background and then flip over to the new stuff once it's ready.
Well, yeah.
There's the other side of it, which Reaper's kind of alluded to in chat, is that like it's not going to necessarily make them money, so why bother?
Yeah, we can complain all the live long day about the numerous issues. I mean, I'm still fucking furious at the tag system on this website. Like the actual go in, try to search for a tag, you get a menu of like 3.5 options, and they're in no particular order. So I'm just scrolling down looking for whatever's relevant to my stream. I can't organize these in any way. There's no menu that makes any sense at all. And Twitch has no incentive to fix that bullshit. I swear it had an order at some point. I swear it was originally alphabetical and it gave you like 8 or 9 options in the menu that you could scroll through. But no, when you search,
they just kind of disappear.
Yeah, I don't know how they fucked that up, but they did, and I'm pissed with it. That and the lack of a trans tag. That's why I got a big fucking thing that says trans down here at the front of my stream, which actually helps nothing, because I tried searching that the other day. Or I just tried searching the term trans. Did not help at all. So the search function on the site is broken as well. Like, this website sucks. Fucking, I'm going to Mixer.
Let's go. Oh dear. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like adding a new tag would not be difficult.
No, be piss easy. Like, unless they have somehow got some kind of systemic limit, which I doubt. But what if they've hit some sort of a cap that they can't push through?
How?
I don't know.
that doesn't make any sense. I mean, Twitch doesn't make any sense, so really, you're probably not wrong. But, yeah.
Like, oops, we broke our system by building it.
Change the result by measuring it. Oh, dear. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the other one is they might be worried about making things too granular, but even then, that's not a thing that would be too granular.
Exactly. That's another complaint that I've heard about that whole tags thing, about adding new tags. It's like, oh, if you add a trans tag, then why don't you add... The one that I've often heard is, why don't they add a straight tag? Like, what the fuck?
Of course that's the argument.
Why do these people conflate sex and gender all the time? They're different issues.
I don't know.
But the point that... Oh, I gotta stop punching the microphone. Sorry.
Oh, I've changed how my boot mom does, and I keep punching the microphone. And I realize how often I do it now when I was editing the podcast. So it's
damn, like, boom, technology, fucking. The only thing that I'm actually violent towards. But this is this thing that Jabby's mentioned. Don't think Twitch is going to fix anything because they already have all the money. They do not. This is the thing. Twitch is running at a huge loss, much like YouTube. Twitch does not make enough money, which is why they keep trying to fight back against advertising, ad blockers. Sorry, there's been so much pushback against ad blockers from Twitch's side because Twitch does not make enough money to justify to Amazon their existence. So they're desperately trying to scrape together every cent they possibly can, doing every avenue they possibly can, including invasive monetization procedures and the DMCA thing.
Woo!
But yeah, Twitch could be shut down, realistically.
Yeah, I can kind of see that happening.
We've seen it with other things, other billion-dollar projects.
YouTube. Like, I don't think going to YouTube would be much better.
Yeah, YouTube's not doing well either. I mean, YouTube and Twitch do make money, but they don't make enough money to justify their existence to Google and Amazon, respectively. So they're running out of loss. Which means there's no incentive for them to fix the platform unless it specifically makes them all of the money. So that's where their primary focus is. What we need
is to find a way to make them all of the money while also solving things.
Exactly, which is obviously never going to happen.
Not a thing.
And what instead we should be doing is giving money to our streamers directly off-site and bleeding money from Twitch. Cancel your subs and go to Patreon, people. They give us 93% of the income we make. Versus Twitch is like 50%. You sub at a $5 tier on Patreon, I will get like, $4, 38 cents. I don't know how much 93% of $5 is, but I'll get a damn sight more than I would for a Twitch sub.
Yeah.
And you get access to video footage.
Maybe I should do a Patreon. Wait, the Inconsolables has one. Maybe I should do one for myself.
Exactly. Try to get more money out of people.
Well, the issue there is, it's like, well, if you do it through Patreon, you don't get the emotes on Twitch, and like I can see why people like that, but you still get the other stuff.
Exactly. Well, I mean, that's the thing, is like you got to provide the incentive that goes beyond. You're welcome. That goes beyond just Twitch. So you got to. This is what I've been trying to work on as much as I possibly can, is being more than just a Twitch streamer. I want to be an online personality that stretches to YouTube, Twitch, possibly TikTok, I guess. Instagram. Twitter has seen a lot of growth for me lately for some reason. In the past month or so, I have gained upwards of 70 followers. I don't know why. I'm hitting on some notes, but I'm up to 650 something followers on Twitter right now. Maybe it's all the political shit posting I'm doing. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, mine's been
stagnant. The trans thing.
Possibly. Yeah, because my Twitter's been fairly stagnant. I actually have been seeing Twitch growth, but that's kind of I mean, baby steps, but I have been seeing Twitch growth. That said, some of that was from playing Undertale, and that was amazing and also frustrating.
That's the issue with certain games, is you'll see growth from them, but those people won't come back.
Well, a few people did, though. That's the interesting one. So, a few people did stick around. I mean, not nearly as many as people who showed up for those streams, but some stuck around for moving on to other things. So it's not that. It's
That's
interesting.
The ideal situation, yeah. It's like you want to be able to keep those people around.
That went well overall, but there's still a lot of people in those Undertale streams that I want to strangle. Not the ones who stuck around, because there are people who are spoiling the game for me. That's the problem.
Okay, there are two things I'm violent towards: technology and people who spoil shit. My sister is the worst for this, by the way. If she goes and sees a movie that everybody wants to see, if she goes and sees it before everybody else, she'll literally start into a conversation talking about the movie, and she'll start talking about things that happen in the movie, and we're like, Katie, stop! None of us have seen it!
Yeah.
She does it without thinking. And I'm like, who are these people?
Yeah. There was a whole thing where there were heaps of people who were, solving puzzles for me, like telling me the solution to puzzles and telling me plot points and all that kind of stuff on Undertale while I'm playing it, where it's clearly said, hey, it's my first time playing it, and hey, no spoilers, please. And I mean,
put the tags on the no spoilers tag.
I did the first time. I gave up on it after that didn't work.
I was going to say that's another. We'll come back.
But we did create a spoilers warning command, because hats off to Magic Man, the Deaf Mints, and Sammy for like slapping people down. About half those spoilers from the second stream on, about half those spoilers got deleted before I ever saw them.
So hang on. So do they actually delete those messages? So
yeah,
because I see the messages whenever I ban someone or time them out, I still see the messages they said. You'll see people calling me the F slur and all that.
That's because you were deleting them, right?
Sometimes. Oh well, I suppose now that I think about it, maybe hard to tell. Maybe. I feel like I'm the number one moderator in my channel.
Oh, Reaper was trying to help, but Reaper I didn't give a sword to, so you weren't able to slap him too much. But Magic Man and Sammy and Magic Man Sammy was the quickest, I think. A lot of the time, particularly once Magic Man had gone to bed, he was like deleting messages before I ever saw them. So I just see message delete from moderator. I'm like, that person's a cunt. So it's like, yeah. But I mean, I still did have large chunks of it spoiled for me. And it's like, cool, you actually diminished my experience of this game that you seem to be so desperate to get me into, because they're also asking me to play all of the ridiculous alternate universe fan games, and they wanted me to play Deltarune, and they wanted me to look at this animation, that animation, and read this fanfic. And I'm like, yeah, but I haven't finished with the core content, and you're making me hate the core content by ruining it for me. Why would I delve into your shit?
I know. It reminds me of when I was playing, like, what was I playing? I was playing something, and someone came at me and was like, will you try my text-based video game that I made based on this? I'm like, no. Like, I don't know you. But beyond that, though, let's posture check. Everyone posture check now.
Yep, I saw that. I'm posture checking.
I'm out of coffee again, so I got no more water or anything to drink. So no more hydration.
I can't help hydrate for you either.
I like the stein though. That's good.
There might be melted water here. Yeah. So I started with a Moscow Mule, and I've got like the melted ice from that.
Nice. I'm gonna have to get you to make me a cocktail at some point. I've got to go to your place to have. I've got to go to your place to do a cocktail stream with you, and I've got to go to Kat's place to do a cooking stream at some point. I don't know how I'm gonna manage either of these, but yeah.
Cocktails and souls in my end.
There you go. Oh, your second finger, Sol. There you go. There you go. There was a point. What was I gonna say? What was the point? There you go. You get 3 of them. What was the There was a thing we were going to discuss that was relevant to the latest topic about
spoilers. Getting shits with people who are fanfiction and stuff that people like poking you to play their fanfiction text game.
That too, but there was something else before that. God, I've missed it. I said put a pin in this particular thing, and I can't think of what the fuck it is now.
It escaped me.
God damn it.
It's escaped me. But there is a clip of me being the angriest I've ever been on stream from that in Undertale. Like I actually did. I think I can't remember if I popped the storytime scene or what, but I did have a good old rant. So
yeah. Oh well, I suppose like there was a point that I was going to make about someone who I'm going to have on the show at some point. I think I don't know if I've messaged her about this, but Death Racer Chevy has been doing. She's been for a long time doing all of the Souls games, and I think the majority of her runs have been blind runs, where she's going into the game for the first time and all that. And I think at this point she's done all of them. I don't know if she's done Sekiro yet. I think she might have. But throughout the entirety of those runs, she's had a moderator on hand who's just vigilantly watching for any kind of spoilers to shut it down as soon as possible. And same with any other game that she plays blind, she's got that moderator on hand. It's like, imagine, like, the dedication.
Yeah, jeez.
The point where it's like, if you go to a Chevy stream, you know that moderator is sitting there, just watching you like a hawk.
Wow, because yeah, I mean, I was really lucky with like Magic Man, Minty, and Sammy being able to mash most of it before I saw it. There was still plenty of stuff I saw before they mashed, and then there were some points when they'd all gone because life and getting late and all that kind of stuff. So they go to bed, and then it's like, oh, good, this is a garbage fire now. You know what? I'm just ending. Let's not do this. Hey,
reminds me of one of the first times that I had. Do you remember? I don't know if this happens anymore. Oh, I suppose it kind of did with The Last of Us Part 2, but that was because of the leaks. But for a long time there was that meme that would get around of like, I forget what exactly, like the meme would vary, but it would be 4 images, right? In one image. And the 4th or the 3rd or whatever would be a spoiler text for like an upcoming game or an upcoming movie or whatever. Do you remember that meme? And that's what killed Red Dead 1 for me. Somebody spoiled the ending of Red Dead 1 in one of those memes, and it went viral on Facebook or whatever, and I'm just like, you fucking cunt. And I'm so irritated that was ever a thing. And I mean, obviously spoilers still get around, but it seems like for whatever reason that seemed to have dissipated in the social media atmosphere.
Yeah, the one that frustrated me in terms of random spoilers placed in random places was Metal Gear Solid 5. I got spoiled on the ending of that, and there is a twist ending because it's a Kojima game, so of course there is.
I've got to give that one a go. I've heard good things.
It's a good game, just it's very different from the other Metal Gears.
I haven't played any of them, that's why I've been told to...
Well, then you're fine. then you're fine. It's also very different from Metal Gear Rising, like that's the most different one.
Yeah. I know it's a stealth-based open world game, and I like stealth. Yeah. I like sneaky.
It's stealth-light. You can get away with machine gunning everyone if you feel like it. But there's a twist ending towards the end of that, at the end of that. And I mean, it'll have a bigger effect if you've played the other Metal Gear games, as you would probably expect, and I have. But I had a spoiler for it where I was watching a YouTube video where there was an interview with David Hayter, who was the voice for Snake in the other games, but they didn't have him back for Metal Gear 5.
That irritates me even as someone who hasn't played the games, because I know the fan base is devoted to David Hayter as Solid Snake, and then they just changed it to actor guy who was in 24 and nothing else.
Yeah, Kiefer Sutherland. But yeah, they changed it to him, and there was an interview I was watching, but the interview had nothing to do with that. It was just a David Hayter interview that it came across me. I came across on YouTube, and going, I'll give this a watch. The top comment was the twist ending for Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh god, I fucking hate people.
It's a video that has the only connection this has to Metal Gear 5 is David Hayter is the one being interviewed, and he's not even in Metal Gear 5. It's just it's a guy from the series connection.
Yeah, that's the issue with live streaming, I guess. Like, no matter what you stream, even if you've finished it, I've had people come in with spoilers, and I'm like, okay, I've played the game. Okay, that's still an asshole move. You know, don't do that shit.
Yeah, it's like you're shit. You didn't get me, but you're shit.
Exactly. It's like, find a hobby, for goodness sake. These people are so bored. Jesus Christ. Go do something. Learn to knit than spoiling shit for other people. Jesus Christ. Make your mother a beanie or a scarf. Do something productive.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Your hobby is watching my streams. Don't spoil my streams.
Oh dear. But yeah, that's I don't know. I mean, on the other hand, there has to be like a statute of limitations. Like, you know, spoilers for Final Fantasy VII kind of stuff. Like, you know,
I still don't even know what Final Fantasy VII's about, and it's been a part of the video gaming. I mean, I know the bit where where a character is stabbed.
Yes.
No spoilers.
I mean, really, it's interesting how relevant Final Fantasy VII is kind of overall when you think about it, because it starts as a bunch of a freedom fighter group blowing up reactors because it's you know, environmental. There's actually like a big environmental thing going on.
I need to give that a go. I might give Final Fantasy VII Remake a go at some point.
No, I mean, you could. Paul would slap me for saying that. Final Fantasy VII Remake's good, but the original's better.
Well, yeah, I would expect that. Although I have heard that certain... I mean, maybe I should play the original for the sake of context, but I have heard that certain aspects of the original were somewhat problematic, and they have been remedied in the remake. That
scene has been very much resolved in the remake.
Not just that, but even the characterization of Barrett, as far as I'm aware. I think they toned down his... Even though he still is big, muscly black dude, as far as I know, he was more big, muscly black dude stereotype in the original. Like,
in the original,
Coltrane from Gears of War stereotype level.
The original felt a bit more Mr. T. To a degree.
That's a bit...
No, it's definitely got issues with its age and that kind of stuff. But there are things like the overarching story that they've done in Final Fantasy VII Remake that I think are the dumbest fucking things you could have possibly done.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's going to happen with any remake. I think the only remakes that nobody's angry about are Crash and Spyro. I think those are just universally accepted as... Tony Hawk, yes. Not Final Fantasy. Crash, Spyro, Tony Hawk... Phenomenal remakes. There is nothing wrong with them. Even the fact that certain tracks are missing from Tony Hawk 1 and 2 because of copyright issues or whatever. Still, by far, the best remake I've played, personally.
Those were all Activision.
Oh, no.
Stop. Yeah. All of those are Activision.
I'm defending Activision.
Stop. No, just Activision. Stop making
I'm a capitalist.
Just do remakes. Don't do anything else.
I mean, yeah, if they're going to put out... And, I mean, have you seen... We know how bad Ubisoft is. You know they're remaking Prince of Persia Sands of Time. I cannot, in good faith, expect that to be a solid remake on the level of the ones we've seen from Activision.
Yeah.
Oh, God. And I love the Sands of Time. You know what really depresses me, though?
I was going to say, sorry, Reaper said it's hard to fuck things like Crash and Spyro up, but
they could have.
Those games have both been fucked up by the sequels. It was the remakes that brought them back to being good. It's not hard to fuck them up. You can fuck anything up if you try. And if you're
the thing is, they could have, in the same vein, how do you fuck up Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, right? And yet there was already a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater remake that was absolutely fucked.
I have that remake. It's garbage.
And then Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5.
I had that for about a week. That was bad too.
Oh, I watched Rad Rat Video's a review of Tony Hawk 5, and I'm just like, oh my god, this looks woeful. Who would have enjoyed this? And I genuinely think, like, as much as I think Tony Hawk does enjoy his own games, I think he's at the point now where, like, he'll just promo any of these games because they have his name on them. He doesn't care about the quality of them necessarily. But I did watch a video of him playing against some other YouTuber. I forget who the YouTuber was. And he's genuinely good at Tony Hawk 1 and 2. He's a good THPS player. Legitimately good at it.
Glad. I remember seeing a couple of videos where Jack Black visited Tony Hawk's. No, it was the other way around. Tony Hawk visited Jack Black's place as a promo for the thing.
Yeah.
Because Jack Black has like a little skating ramp in his backyard, and then they went to his music room. It's like, oh, here's the thing you're good at. Now let's do the thing I'm good at.
Yeah, promotion, cross promotion.
I mean, Jack Black's just. I haven't unlocked his character in Tony Hawk Remake yet, though.
Yeah, it's just Jack Black as Jack Black. It's literally no one else. No spoilers. It's just Jack Black as a guest character. Totally.
Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, like the thing about Prince of Persia, the thing that irritates me about Prince of Persia, Sands of Time remake, as good as it is, the whole trilogy is good. Prince of Persia, Warrior Within, and Sands of Time, Warrior Within, and the third one that I forgot the name of.
Dual Thrones or something? No, not Dual
No,
Thrones.
there was a mobile game called the two. You know what? I think it was the Two Thrones. No, that's not right. Fuck, I don't know.
It's like
something like that. They should have what they should have done with the remake is do the whole trilogy, like with the Crash and Spyro thing, but they've decided to go and just remake one of them for reasons that escape me. I don't know why they would do that.
Money.
Well, yeah.
Because then they can give you 3 separate games as opposed to one mega game.
So exactly the Ubisoft model, really. I mean, as much as we love to shit on Activision, and they did actually have quite a dodgy move with Crash Team Racing. They did Crash Team Racing Remake, which that was literally, compared to all the other ones, an absolute flash in the pan. You know? Crash, huge. Spyro, huge. Tony Hawk, huge. Crash Team Racing, I feel like a lot of people don't even realize it came out. But anyway, after the fact.
So a lot of the people I play games with were super keen on it, but it was when they patched in the shit afterwards that people got upset with it for that particular remake.
It probably completely tanked its player base and relevance. And yeah, I think that was the primary negative aspect of the remakes that Activision did. Is of course they went with the game that can be easily monetized, a game like a kart racer, which is sort of perpetual in the way that you play it. So, naturally they did the Activision greed thing. Let's put loot boxes or whatever they did into Crash Team Racing, skins, whatever, and do it after the review period.
What it was the skins were already there, and the currency you would earn and only earn. But then they added a premium real money, a premium real money currency thing, as far as I understand, or you could just buy the skins outright rather than playing the damn game. The way things used to be.
Oh, the olden days. But yeah, I think you're probably right. With the Sands of Time thing, we're probably going to see Sands of Time come out, and if that does well, we might see the sequels. I feel like we won't, though. I feel like the only time that they're going to be able to actually get any sort of money off the sequels to Sands of Time feels iconic. Everyone kind of knows Prince of Persia, Sands of Time. Everyone knows there were sequels, but I don't think as many people played the sequels as they did the original. And as a result, unlike with Crash and Spyro, which had this cultural attachment, the entire series had this cultural attachment. As a result, doing the trilogy would have been more... I mean, quite honestly, Activision probably could have gotten away with splitting those up into separate games. Thank fuck they didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Ubisoft is maybe banking on the idea of let's do Sands of Time first, and if it does well, we can do the other ones and milk those for money. Which I think if they do that, it might end up backfiring on them. It might not work, especially with how the previews of Sands of Time looks. Doesn't look good.
I haven't looked at the previews, so...
It's bad.
Speaking of bad remakes, I was keen on 13 being remade, and then it came up being garbage.
Oh god, I saw that.
Comic shooter. And it's like, I played that game when I was much younger and never quite finished it. And then I'm like, yeah, this would be a chance to go back and revisit it. Well, let's not. Maybe I'll just buy the original and play that.
You'd have a better time with it because the gameplay mechanics are exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly. Except it's just, the art will actually look right. And and it's not buggy. Apparently the newer version introduces new bugs.
They literally could have just upscaled the art. That's what they could with the remake. They could have just upscaled everything. And instead, I think I tried to bring up a comparison picture, and it's like the 13 original art style looks like Archer, right? You know, that's the appeal of it. It looks like Archer. And then you look at the remake, and it's like they've tried to do this realistic style with a bit of a painterly filter over it, and then they've put the cell shading on. And it looks dreadful. Absolutely atrocious.
It's a mess.
I don't know how you fuck that up when like the primary concept of the game is the comic book art style. How do you ruin that?
All they need to do is look at Borderlands.
Literally.
Like, just emulate Borderlands.
I don't even like Borderlands, and I agree with that notion.
Like, it has the right style for... I mean, if you wanted to do a higher res version of the comic book style, make it, a little bit different from the original 13, sure, Borderlands is your, literally copy-paste that art style. Done. Oh.
I don't get it. I really just... I cannot fathom how that project... It must have been, honestly... I've heard of games where they've been... Especially, back in ye olden PS2 era, PS3 era, when we would see a lot of video games that would come out based on movies. The Iron Man game, the Thor game, the Captain America game, all just fell by the wayside. Nobody even knows they exist nowadays.
Yeah.
And as far as I heard, there were a number of stories that came out of the games industry around that time that were saying these games were thrown together in like 5 months. And I feel like that's the case with the 13 remake. It's like they had a very tiny time period, so they just crammed it together and chucked it out.
Hey, look, we just circled back around to Crunch again, didn't we?
crunch this remake, get it out the door. We don't care. We're barely paying you anyway, and we want to get all the rewards from the 3 sales we're going to make on it.
Pretty much. That's just, yeah. I mean, that's also why ET ended up so bad.
I forget about ET.
Because they only had like a couple of months to make the damn thing, and that was, I mean, what? A lot of people attribute that with single-handedly causing the video game crash of that era. I don't think it did it on its own, but it was certainly a big factor.
You know what my favorite little factoid about the ET video game is the piles and piles of Atari video games that exist out there somewhere in the wild. There's just this big pile of Atari games as a result of ET. A lot of them are ET, as far as I know.
I kind of want one copy of that. Just like ET off a landfill pile from somewhere, just as a...
Alamogordo, New Mexico is apparently where it's located. Let's book a trip.
Yeah, that's good. When COVID's done, we're going to New Mexico. Take a shot. We're going to find a copy of ET.
Go rummaging through a rubbish pile for an old video game for a console neither of us have. That is just literally... put it in a glass case on a shelf somewhere.
There's a YouTube series for you. Our search for ET.
I think it'd be good. I think it'd be rather riveting. I'm sure has someone done it? I need to look it up.
If you just like grab a shovel and start digging randomly in the desert looking for this landfill that they've covered up or whatever, that'd be more interesting than playing the actual game.
God, I've seen gameplay of it, and I literally can't even make out anything that's going on in that game. It's one of those things where it looks like a Pardon?
As far as I understand, all you do is fall into pits and then crane your neck to get out of the pits. That's not what you're meant to do, but that's just what happens.
Like what I've seen of it reminds me of those little the little plastic games that you get where they've just got like all the little sprites are just printed on it, and it just lights up the different sprites. As you're playing the video game. That's always a fun little thing. They did that for Mario, I think. I've seen a Mario one of those.
There's been a bunch of Nintendo ones like that, yeah.
I wonder how technically difficult it is to make those.
I think that's more in hardware than anything, yeah.
Well, yeah, true. Is there even any programming involved in such a device, or is it all just mechanical?
I mean, there'd have to be some programming so we would know when you win and you lose, because it does have some of that stuff. Some of those ones I've played have lives, the concept of lives and all that kind of stuff. Like, there's that one that's like, you've probably seen the Game & Watch, where you've got like people falling off a bridge or something, and you've got like 2 dudes at the bottom with like a parachute thing that you like catch them in.
Yeah,
and then, you can let you can miss like 3 people overall and then that's when the game ends. So it's like, okay, there's got to be some. It might still all be in hardware, but there is some semblance of programming to it.
Yeah, I think honestly, the notion of those kind of games, those simplistic kinds. Anytime I see a game that's really, 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 really basic, any kind of like that really miniature tech that's so disposable, it makes me think it's like computers are literally rocks that we taught to think. You know, it's like how did we go from living in caves to turning said rocks into something capable of running... I can't say Crysis anymore, because Crysis is outdated. What's the current benchmark we're going for?
The Crysis remake.
Yeah, the Crysis remake. Things that can run the Crysis remake.
Or, you know, I guess Cybergronk.
That brings me back to the... We were talking before about how long certain video games are. And, you know, talking about Cyberpunk and such. The story of that apparently is only like 20 hours long, which is okay. Like, that seems like a reasonable length. If you add in enough content outside of that 20-hour main storyline to pad out 100 hours, 200 hours, whatever, I think that's a neat idea. Although it feels a bit wasteful if, like, the main story is that 20 hours and then, like, 10 times more of that is extra content. This is all, you know, personally developed or whatever. But, yeah, we were talking about how certain games, especially those with that really grim setting, that depressing setting, can go on for far too long. The Witcher 3. But the thing is, The Witcher 3 has quite a bit of wit to it and quite a bit of fun to it in the greater context of the story. But the issue, again, is that whole thing of, like you said with The Last of... Was it The Last of Us or something else? Where it's like, you think you're at the end, and then there's another 15 hours, 40 hours. It doesn't stop.
I mean, it did it to me for God of War, but I liked it in God of War because I was having a good time, and then they did it. Apparently, they do it in Last of Us, and I feel like by the time I reach that point, I'll be very done already.
Yeah.
So
it's like you need to know when to stop. You need to know when to be able to like hit the wall when it comes to the storytelling. And this is honestly a thing that I struggle with YouTube videos. Because my next video I'm already estimating will be anywhere from 20 minutes to 30 minutes in length, which I don't think is too bad. But I worry sometimes that either A, I haven't put enough points in, or B, I've put too much information in. So, and I'm worried that it just drags and people aren't going to pay attention after 15 minutes. So that's, again, and of course it all comes down to, can you captivate the audience with the video game or whatever?
Part of it's that, and see if you're talking in circles or whatever, I guess. And I mean, if you find it well, then remove the circular references.
That's true, yeah. And I think scripting helps with that. If you ever do YouTube videos, scripting helps a lot.
Yeah, that's the thing. The YouTube thing I'd started work on is, you know, unscripted because it's gameplay footage, and I'm gonna, you know, probably I've got a few little bit of vocal bits I want to put in, but it's largely coffin dance music and me dying over and over and over again. So,
can you get away with coffin dance without DMCA? That's the question that we all have to ask.
I feel like I'm likely to get away with it more on YouTube because they'll just kind of give you that warning and stuff rather than Twitch will just yeet you from the platform.
True, YouTube is good in that regard. YouTube leaves a lot to be desired, and yet some days I still definitely consider moving over to YouTube as a streaming platform, simply because if for some reason, like I did a reaction to a video a little while back before I on like December 30th, I did that like what was it, 58 things that happened in 2020 you might have forgot about, and one of them was Mike Bloomberg's little presidential rally where he was running for president or whatever, and he got his people cringily dancing along to moves like Jagger, and so I had to mute the audio. It was like, God. I'm thinking in my head, is this going to delete my channel for watching this thing? Whereas on YouTube, if I were to watch that on YouTube, probably not a good idea to get a copyright claim, but the reality of the situation is
you don't immediately get yeeted. Exactly.
Yeah, you can go in, you can mute that. You have the opportunity to save yourself. Twitch, for reasons unbeknownst to me, doesn't allow you that option. And the funny thing is, like, doesn't Twitch automatically mute your VODs if there's copyrighted material in them anyway? So it's really bizarre.
I was getting portions VODed. Well done.
Portions
Persian.
You can't handle my strongest potions.
Potion seller. I was getting portions muted. There we go. We got there. I was getting portions muted for music, which I have a license for. Like, I've got a Monster Cat license because I happen to like EDM, and Monster Cat is largely good stuff for me. And, you know, I have a few songs that I have on my intro and BRB screen. Mostly it's just Snowblind nowadays because the randomizer's broken, and I'm okay with it. But there was another song, I can't remember which one it was, but it was covered by the Monster Cat license, and it was still getting muted, and then I appealed the mute, and then they rejected it for no reason. So I'm like, okay, well, that's off that playlist. Now the playlist is 4 songs, and it still lands on Snowblind every time because random, but, you know.
That's a pain in the ass, yeah. I don't understand how that happens.
I'm paying for a license for that song. Why am I not allowed to...
And all of that stuff is not under the, under, like, the Warner, Sony... Was it Warner Music, Sony, and the magical third one? There were 3 of them.
The point is, it's under Monster Cat, who I'm paying for.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. It's like you're getting that license. And this is another thing that speaks to that issue of streamers who want to have background music don't have the option for an affordable, you know, I want to play... I get the idea of, like, paying for a top 40 playlist, for example, is probably not likely to happen for streamers, but... Still, if people were expected to pay a broadcaster license on Spotify or something like that, and to be able to play copyrighted material, yeah, it's probably not going to go to the musicians. Let's be honest with ourselves. But it's still a service they could draw money from. There's still an income stream there that they're just not giving streamers the opportunity to have. Because I guess they foresee that being able to potentially send people to prison over DMCA strikes is more profitable for reasons unbeknownst to me.
Who knows? Probably more immediately profitable because they're lobbying people or something.
More than likely, yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. That's why you find all the free options if you can. I mean, Monster Cat is not a free option, but it's not expensive either. It's literally the price of a Twitch sub a month.
I might actually have to look at that because do they have synth on there? Do they have synthwave? Do they have?
It's much more just EDM-y stuff.
Okay.
Like there's a lot of they have, you know, a lot of genres of EDM in there, but it is, you know, it's much more of the You'll find some chill stuff, but
that's kind of what I'm looking for. Because at the moment, I've got Harris Heller Stream Beats synthwave playing in the background at the moment, and I'm using that with my next video. In fact, the intro song, quite a nice one, quite a banger, if I'm honest, that I'm using for the intro of the next video. And I want to find more stuff like that. I want to find more of this kind of copyright-free stuff that I can use in my videos, because I'm no musician. I'm absolutely not a musician. And I would like to have, you know, a variety of music for each video that, generally speaking, like when I'm doing like a talking segment, I want that chill background track that just sort of fills the dead air almost. And then, you know, for intros, you want that impact. And for outros, you similarly want some kind of impact. You want it to hit. But yeah, music is, you know, a tricky business when it comes to content creation. Because as a creator, especially as somebody who has, like, let's just say, for example, you have no particular network in the content creation space, having access to free resources like the music and all that, and sound effects and everything else, can make a huge difference. And graphics and all that kind of stuff. Not everybody can afford to just go out and spend money on licenses to get access to all these different things.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I just saw the Monster Cat one, like, I can afford that, and I like that stuff, so let's do it.
Is there like a trial? I wouldn't mind going and giving it a trial if possible.
I mean, you can go listen to all their stuff anyway.
Oh, okay.
The music is free to listen to. It's the subscription is you get access to new tunes like a day before they come out.
Oh, okay.
You get access to 300 kilobits per second downloads of them, and you can set up your channels to be whitelisted for playing their music. Most of their music, not every song they have is covered, and they have like their radio show that comes up in the content, which is also not a lot. You can't just use their mixed radio show thing. I think they stream that anyway, so. But like they even have a feature on the website where if you do pay for the whitelisting, you can just hit play and it will play it and skip the songs that aren't allowed. So like they make it pretty easy for you.
That's so good. Like it literally sounds like we're running an infomercial for Monster Cat right now. That does sound good.
It does sound like that, but I mean that's why that stuff appeals to me. I mean, usually I'll go and listen and vet stuff before I put it into a playlist of my own anyway, because you know, there's plenty of Monster Cats that, like, I do like a large amount of their catalog, but I don't like everything because it's not everything in EDM is to my taste. So I'll pick the ones that are. And I haven't updated in a long while because I haven't been doing music on stream outside of like the intro and BRB stuff for a long while anyway, because I've been playing stuff where I wanted the game sound in.
Yeah.
But like if I went back to Monster Hunter for a while, I'd probably put in the Monster Cat stuff in the background because there's only so many times you can hear the you can listen to Rathalos' theme before you want to, turn it off.
Although, to be fair, I could listen to the Ghost Runner soundtrack. If I had to play Ghost Runner, if that's the only game I could play for the rest of time, I would happily listen to that soundtrack ad infinitum. It's so good.
Yeah.
But like on a similar note about like skipping stuff that you don't like and cutting that out and all that. There's actually a portion of a background track I'm using right now for my next video where it's like it gets to a point where it adds in one of those tin drums, I think. So like up to that point, I'm really enjoying the track. Then the tin drum hits, and I'm like, okay, I'm cutting that segment. I just have a loop of everything up to that point, and then I cut the rest of it because the tin drum just fucking ruins the whole track. So I've got about a minute and a half without the tin drum, and then I'm just like, okay, stop that shit. That's fucking annoying.
Yeah, fair enough. And that kind of stuff is like why I like vet the songs, and a lot of your Monster Cat stuff will have lyrics and stuff as well because they are mixy, full-on tunes. There's a lot of house stuff. There's a lot of house stuff. There's a bit of dubstep. It crosses a lot of the EDM stuff. You know
what sucks is like when you find a good remix on YouTube. I found a good remix of a song recently on YouTube, and it's not on Spotify. The original song's on Spotify, but the remix that I really like is not on Spotify because they then have to sort that out with the license and all that. And it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Can't life be easy?
No, it can't be easy. This has been established. Long established.
We know this. It's terrible. I hate technology. I hate the music industry. I hate capitalism. Capitalism is a failing, terrible system.
More like crapitalism.
Haha, got him. I don't have a rimshot sound effect. Got rid of all that junk. I've considered bringing it back. Actually, you know what? I think I do have it, but you can't hear it. I did bring back a few sound effects.
Yeah, fair.
Somebody had a soundboard on Discord at some point, didn't they?
Oh, I think it might have been a Wolfie boy.
Was it Wolfie? Was it you that had a soundboard? I don't know. I know it's a thing that you can do.
Yeah, I don't think it's easy enough to do, probably, but I don't know. I am considering putting the Wilhelm scream into my stream somewhere.
Oh, don't do that! No. Speaking of our special guest Kalgar tonight, I was in the last couple of months on your podcast. Let's bring that back up really quickly because we're sort of towards the tail end of the stream, I guess. Close to 10.
Kind of wrap up a bit, yeah. So there's a link to the podcast where Abby was on. You can kind of go from there. There's also the Libsyn account, which I could take you there, but that's just a website-y one. It's hard to think. Just the Inconsolables, you find it on any of the main thing there. And we've just opened a Patreon, and there's a link to that.
Patreon.
We're going to be putting little bits of bonus. Yeah, there's a Libsyn one. Magic. But that won't really necessarily take you to. I think there might be links from there. That I don't know. Libsyn's weird. It generates a website for you, and I don't really use that too much. But there's also the Patreon, which we're starting to add extra content from tomorrow when we proper launch it. But it is actually up now.
So you can go and give them money. Go and give the Inconsolables money. Go and give Kalgar money. Go subscribe to Kalgar's Twitch channel.
Let's subscribe to Abby's Twitch channel.
Subscribe to Abby's Twitch channel as well, because I don't know if I've hit payout for this month. I've got 4 days. I think all I need is a few more subs. Let me actually check. How can you check? This is what I want to know. Is there a way to definitively check?
Don't know, because you can see how much you got in the last 30 days, but that isn't necessarily helpful.
Exactly. I'm gonna look now at. Oh, can I? No, that's.
There we go, Grumpy.
Hey. Thank you kindly. Please enjoy all the benefits of the subscriber lounge, which, by the way, I think I've set this up in my Discord, but I don't know if anyone actually has access to it. There is a sub chat. If you guys want to go hang out in the sub chat, there is actually a sub lounge in there. I may add some specific benefits to it. I don't know. But
yeah, I mean, there's one on mine. I find in general most people tend not to use that much,
Yeah.
And I think that's just because I like to believe it's because people want to have chats with everybody.
True. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd like to believe that.
Okay, so my total estimated revenue. Let's just spoil my revenue since December 15 till now, till January 11th. Allegedly, I've made $82.20, according to what Twitch is telling me. So I imagine if I make that extra 18 or 17 bucks and 80 cents by the 15th of this month, if I'm not mistaken, that will be payout threshold met, and I will get paid on the 15th of next month, right? That's generally how I've been checking to see if I've made threshold or not, just to see if, if I'm at that $100 mark in my total estimated revenue, which is, by the way, USD. Total estimated revenue in USD. You still have to hit $100 American to get paid out.
I tend not to check, mainly because I was going to say I don't care, but that's not true. It's more like a nice surprise when it comes in. And I usually get enough to hit it every second month, so it's one of those that's.
And it carries over.
Yeah, exactly. They'll just put it in the pot. So that 80, you probably had 20 or something before that, so it's hoping, right? It seems that I'll get out this month, so.
Aside from periods where I've taken breaks, which is what makes me think I'm probably not going to hit payout for February. Anytime I take a break, generally speaking, there's a dip in money because of that break period. Especially, going back to, the big break what I had, where I came back as a completely different person. That was, but other than that, I'm going to gloat a little bit. But since hitting my first payout about 7 months into streaming, I think it was, I've been able to generally hit payout almost monthly. Which is kind of surprising to me. I don't know why that is. But it's usually only just above threshold, unless it was a particularly spicy month and I made a bunch, whatever. Let's just talk about revenue. Let's talk about income. But you definitely can't turn this into a job at my level or your level or any of our social group. You can't turn this into a job unless you are hitting what was it? Wild a few months back on his stream or on his Twitter or something like that. He says something like, to put it in perspective, he routinely hits about 1,000 viewers, right? And he said specifically, it's he only recently hit enough subscribers to pay his bills, sitting at around 1,000 viewers. And you can sort of conflate how many subs there. To pay all electricity, internet, phone, whatever else, gas, I don't know what else he has for bills, because he might be pretty well off. Hard to tell. But that puts it in perspective. It's if you have, and there was a pretty big streamer who went on a podcast who said that streaming is, as an income source, even at her level, she had months where she has 1,000 subscribers. She has months where she's got 200 subscribers. There's a lot of things that people. There are a lot of people who go into streaming thinking, I'm going to make it big. I'm going to make the big bucks. I'm going to live off this. Not a reasonable expectation.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how I got onto this, but
we got here somehow.
It's capitalism.
Yeah.
I believe it was Ice-T who said all rappers are capitalists. And I think most streamers are as well. As in, we want capital for us.
I'm capitalist. Spell your name with a capital letter. Damn it.
I disapprove of Nazis, but I am a grammar Nazi. Oh, fucking Christ. Why did I say that?
No.
If anyone clips that, I will personally dox you, okay?
It's spell shit correctly. Words have meaning.
Oh, don't get me started on the words have meaning thing. Did you see the tweet I posted today about this dude who used that exact same rhetoric? He's like, words have meaning, and he used it to make a transphobic point about males born male, a male, blah blah blah. That thing.
That's
always
not
that
what
shit.
When I say that, but okay, now I have to find a better sentence. Why do people ruin things?
I know. That's actually a big thing that I'm super interested in, is linguistics. Is the notion that we have words and words have meaning. You know, we do give words definitions for a reason. And yet, those very same words and the very same exact definitions, what I see as the definition of word X, Y, or Z, and what you see as the definition of word X, Y, or Z, even if we define them exactly the same way, personally, we're going to interpret that definition differently. That's fascinating to me that happens. And
that is interesting, yeah.
And I want to read more into that. I might actually put that into a video at some point. I don't know if that would hit necessarily, but I think there's a ton of interesting content around the idea of differences of definition within our own language, like within one language. And that, of course, leads to some pretty vitriolic discourse naturally in the political spectrum, especially.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The big bad F word means different things.
Oh, fuck.
No. F-A-S.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm just taking it a different direction.
I mean, fuck has a lot of meanings too, let's be honest.
I mean,
is very versatile.
One of the most versatile words in the world, yeah. Both go in the same direction there.
Exactly. FaceTime. Yeah, FaceTime is the one that I was thinking of.
That's, yes, FaceTime.
Oh, have you ever been to Aldi recently?
I haven't been probably a few weeks ago.
Because they've got this,
what should I be seeing?
They've got their big plastic screens at the counters now. To protect their cashiers, and they've got a little sign on it that says "Screen time with a difference" or something like that.
Oh yeah,
different kind of screen time. Like, oh, very clever, guys. Very good on you.
Nice.
Oh, you know what? Like this topic that I'm seeing in chat, the phobia things. Like, this could be a good topic to discuss, but like maybe we'll do that one tomorrow or something, because we're at like the tail end of stream. We'll be going for 2 hours and 55 minutes, although the first 10 minutes was intro.
We're getting to long times. Our brain is starting to drain away.
I mean, my brain never shuts up, but I should consider other people's feelings and let you go.
Oh no, my brain doesn't shut up, but it does get less coherent, and I'm starting to get less coherent. So
you've had more alcohol than I have. I've become addicted to caffeine.
I had one drink.
Well,
I had one drink. Thank you very much.
I dare say you can handle your liquor better than I can too, because like it seems like one glass of wine knocks me for 6 nowadays.
Way too much practice in my regard. That's you come over, we do a cocktail stream, you're gonna get smashed.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna be vomiting the next day.
A standard cocktail is 2 shots of alcohol, so you know.
I'll try it. I'll do my best. The only time though, I will say I've had drinks where I've had hangovers the next day. I've only been hungover and I've only been solidly drunk like maybe 3 times in my life. And one of those times was camping. Went camping and I was doing vodka, tequila, there were beers involved. I think there was wine at some point. I had a whole mix of different alcoholic beverages and I was really genuinely plastered. And that actually led to me feeling genuinely sick the next day to the point where I had to take my kids and leave the camping trip. I was just like, I couldn't come down from it, basically. So
mixing drinks really doesn't help.
Yeah.
Going that far on it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And I since have never drank to excess. At most, like New Year's Eve was probably the most I've drank in months and months. I drank 1 full bottle of Moscato and then another glass on top of that. That's my extreme, you know. It was a good giddy feeling though.
Yeah. New Year's Eve was cocktails for everyone who was over at my place, so there was a lot of alcohol drunk that night.
Nice. I keep thinking about the expense. That's always my issue when it comes to alcohol, it's the expense.
I did get people to help me out with that stuff since I was making cocktails for like a bunch of people, like for the legally mandated limit of people.
Yeah.
At the time. Like we did cap out that thing and cull people from the party so we could get it legal again once they changed it. So
kick people out. Sorry, you're not good enough of a friend to make our list.
It was it was more like a look. They've changed the rules and I've got people who I'm closer to. I'm sorry. It was someone I like met more recently, so it's kind of like I'm so, and like I'd gotten the idea that they were reasonable with it, so it's like
yeah. We have to make excuses.
It was not a fun position to be in. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So
bad day to be a Riesling. Now I want a Riesling. Riesling's good. No, I've been off the alcohol since New Year's, though. I haven't had the compulsion to go to Liquorland or anything like that. And the energy drinks, I'm doing good on that note.
I have failed myself horribly on the energy drinks, but I have at least migrated to the no sugar ones.
There you go. That's a good start, honestly. I was on the no sugar ones for a while, and that's a good way to keep the calories down. It's a bad way to keep the calories down, but it's a good way to keep the calories down.
It's a bad way to keep the calories down because you're still getting the chemicals, but it's a good way to keep the calories down because it gets the calories down to begin with.
Exactly. I'll keep on you about MyFitnessPal. Also, what watch are you using?
The Series 2 Apple Watch.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at getting like a some kind of fitness watch because for the longest time I've wanted to track calories based on. I want to know if they work. That's the thing I want to. It's like I want to know how they work and if they work.
It's always approximate.
Yeah.
But
that's the thing with MyFitnessPal.
I accidentally woke up Siri with that one. Cool. I don't know how I managed that one, but yeah, no, it is keeping track of like it says that I've done 1776 kilojoules of movement today out of a goal of 2000 because it does actually kind of track. It defaulted to a goal of 2000.
Mm-hmm.
That said, I lost half the day of movement in terms of this wasn't working because it needed updates and stuff. I hadn't wanted in like a year or so I would have lost so much today. 4 minutes out of 30 of actual workout. I don't know where I got that from because I didn't tell it to do a workout.
Oh, okay.
And then 9 hours out of 12 have I stood up for a minute.
Okay.
So it wants you to kind of get up and move around a little bit every now and then for your back and all that kind of stuff. So
I want to get it. I want to get one. I'll probably just get like the really cheap, like $100 Garmin one that's just Bluetooth to your phone or whatever. But for example, MyFitnessPal tracks 20 minutes of 26 to 30 kilometer cycling as around 340 calories, right? So I've burned that many calories doing the bike, allegedly, according to MyFitnessPal. But the bike at the gym says it's closer to 260 calories. Thus, I would like to get the fitness watch, have that on, and be able to check, see how many that does.
I think it just tries to calculate it based off movement distance and like existing weight and muscle and stuff. So I would say that if you don't have an iPhone, don't get an Apple Watch because absolutely, because it actually won't function without the phone.
Oh God! Of course,
it has its own built-in stuff, but it relies on the phone to do a lot.
Yeah.
So like the more generic one, and I have issues with Garmin, but that's more due to I hate the way that their code works.
Oh well, that's fun.
That's a completely different thing. So.
But also, like, I've long wondered, because I only ever track my cardio on MyFitnessPal, right? I add that in there because then it tells you it's okay, you've burned this many calories, thereby you can technically consume this many calories. So my calorie goal is 2,250 to lose weight. I burned 340 on the thing. That goes up a bit to 2,500, whatever. And I want to track my actual weight exercises, my bodybuilding stuff, because I don't track that. I only track that cardio. I want to know how much is being burnt doing bicep curls or leg lifts or whatever else I'm doing. I'd like to see if the wristwatch would keep track of that, and I've long pondered getting one, but they're stupidly expensive.
Yeah, they're pricey. I don't know how that would work on that, or whether it would work at all.
Yeah, that's the tricky thing. Does it work?
And you've always got to take it as an estimate, but I guess the whole thing is always estimatey and not an exact science anyway. So
that's the tricky thing with trying to track calories and all that. So you got to be.
That's the other one with like the movement on mine, right? Because it says 1782 out of 2000 for the goal today. I did practice axe throwing for an hour. I don't know if that would have been thrown out by me throwing an axe with the hand that the watch is on. Like,
yeah, true.
Because it would. I mean, that is movement, but does it detect that as more movement, thinking that I'm walking, as opposed to throwing it? I mean, there was plenty of walking involved because you got to walk up to the target and get your axe back. And I did that.
I've often wondered. It's like it's sitting on your wrist. How does that affect the overall? Like, if I'm lifting something with my legs, is it detecting what's going on in my legs? How does it know? What's the technology? It's all very skeptical of it all.
It does have a heart rate reader in it, so that
might be it. That might be all it literally.
That'd be a portion of it. But as far as the rest of the movement, well.
Very
confusing. It did seem to be tracking more motion and energy burned when I was throwing the big axe as opposed to the little one. and I mean it's a heavier item, bigger, but it's also a bigger motion to throw it.
Yeah.
So, like,
that's the thing. It's like without
yeah.
without the professionals on hand, how are you supposed to know? Oh my God, Kez.
Exactly.
With a gift sub to Jabby. Thank you. Thank you so
Nice.
much. With that being said, oh my God, I like and hate that it tells you how many subs somebody has gifted or how many bits they've cheered.
Oh,
I feel so
yeah.
guilty. I'm looking at it, it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
This is the problem with like being a free content creator. It's all free. You don't have to pay for anything. And then I see that people have supported me this much, and I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I guess the other question is over how much time, but still, it's just like,
true.
Geez, that's a hard one to.
Oh gosh. More subs, more subbies. Anyway, I deserve it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
well, we're at the tail end. We can call it there. Yeah. Final plug for the Inconsolables, the Patreon.
Yeah, so the Inconsolables podcast. Check it out on you can find it on Spotify, Podchaser, any of your podcasty things. The Patreon has gone live today, so
Magic,
we're doing
you have the other
extra.
link.
Magic has the link to the podcast. The link I've just dropped in is for the Patreon. A little bit of extra content for like $1 US minimum. There are other tiers. They don't get you anything more, though. If you do the $20 one, I believe we give you a personalized shout out. And of course, there is my own streams, which are typically Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And occasionally a Sundays when I can get the D&D crew together, but that's been a little while coming. So...
all good stuff.
And I mean, tomorrow we're playing Risk of Rain together, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. That's right. Yes, I forgot.
Yes.
So I'll be joining Kalgar again tomorrow for Risk of Rain.
Woo, except we'll be on each of our own channels for the multi and stuff.
True.
So
everyone go check out Kalgar if you have not already. Go say hi. Yeah, Risk of Rain 2.
Yes, Risk of Rain 2. Sorry.
It'll be my first time playing it. I haven't actually played it. I feel like either I bought it or someone gifted it to me. And if someone gifted it to me, I feel like such an asshole because I haven't played it yet.
Well, we're fixing that tomorrow. It's a great game.
It's a roguelike, isn't it?
It's a third-person shooter roguelike. Yes, I know, shooty bang bang. Unlike Payday, you get a targeting reticle on every character who has a gun.
Oh, yeah, I like targeting reticles.
And you do actually unlock some melee characters as well. So,
okay,
it's a lot of fun. It's a bit crazy. It's sci-fi. The idea is you crash land on a random planet. You need to survive a bit, find teleporters, which will take you to another part of the same random planet. Repeat until you get to final boss and get murdered.
Yeah, final boss.
Beat final boss and leave. Yes.
And then do it again.
Yes. And then do it. I mean,
That's lovely.
There's a million ways to like. There's a lot of hidden secret-y shit going on as well. Like to unlock your new characters, to unlock new abilities for those characters. There's heaps of stuff. There is heaps of stuff going on in that game, and I am by no means an expert. I am not good at this game, but I do enjoy it.
Well, that's the main part, isn't it? It's like you don't need to understand everything. We don't need to gatekeep people who don't understand all of the innate concepts of the videos game.
Exactly, and I mean, it's a roguelike, so it's got that whole thing where, you know, I'm still at that point where, you know, you're starting to spin up the knowledge of what items do what and what kind of builds you want. And even then, if you're playing the regular roguelike mode, all of those items are randomized anyway, so...
Zog, now I feel guilty because we're literally at the tail end of the stream. We're shouting out Kalgar, and we're going to be playing Risk of Rain tomorrow night, starting at around the same time, 7 PM Australian Eastern Daylight Time, for both of us. Both of our channels. And we're going to be playing Risk of Rain 2. We're going to be checking that out. And that's been MASC Off, the official episode 1 of MASC Off. This is going to be a weekly show. My ambition, I've already got a few guests lined up. My ambition is to bring on a new guest every week. Talk about a variety of interesting topics. Official MASC Off. Monday MASC Off. There we go. It's like alliterative. But that's not actually a thing. It's just Monday is the best time slot. But yeah, this is going to be effectively, in some capacity, a podcast, I suppose, moving forward. I should pluck your brain about exactly what to do with regards to podcasts at some point.
I can help you with that stuff.
I've got a bit of experience from back when I did the thing with Fuzz, which was like once a month about gaming news. But yeah, this whole show, the ambition is to go beyond gaming, go beyond and explore a variety of different topics. Like we've talked a bit about workplace conditions tonight and things like that, overtime crunch, which does delve into the games industry, of course, but beyond it as well. Yeah, thank you everybody for hanging out. We appreciate you all being here. I know this is going to be unusual, but I don't think I'm going to raid at the tail end of this one because it just feels like it's... I don't know, it doesn't feel like it fits the genre.
Yeah, fair enough.
As someone who's raided Just Chatting streamers doing shows before, it feels like an unusual thing to do. I don't know. But anyway.
Yeah, no, I kind of feel you on that.
So we'll call it there. I really want to do a different outro scene because my outro scene is shit. But anyway, thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a lot of fun.
It's been cool.
And sometime in the near future, we're going to do drinks.
Yes. And sometime in the near future, we'll get you back on Inconsolables too.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. I would love to.
And you know what? We didn't get to rant about Monster Hunter.
Oh, shit.
I'm okay with this.
Well, we got tomorrow night. We could talk tomorrow night.
Yeah, and we did rant about it in the podcast.
There you go. There you go. Check out the podcast, guys. That episode's going up tomorrow, isn't it?
Yes, tomorrow morning.
There you go. There you go. Tomorrow morning.
Tuesday morning, new episodes, and tomorrow's one is the first one of the new year.
Fantastic. Love to hear it. Well, Magic's now just going to spam the link. Okay.
It's Spamjic Man. Hey. That was bad. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm going to call it there. Thank you everybody for hanging out. Yeah, we don't have. There's no closing credits with us in the guest waving, but we can do that anyway. Ta-ta, everybody. We'll see you when we're looking at you. Have a good one. Ciao, ciao.